Everybody, we should be live here. Pretty sure. There we go. Awesome. Welcome on in, everyone. Welcome to, well, that's kind of loud. One sec. There we go. That's a bit better. Welcome back to Such a Brew About Nothing, episode 6. This, of course, is our Magic the Gathering podcast because I like magic cards and I want to talk about them. Of course, this is episode 6. If you missed the previous part, episode 5, we were talking about the Sewer Cube, which is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Magic the Gathering draft cube that we built. Today, we talked about all of well, last time we talked about all of the cards in the main set, all 195 cards. Today, we're going to be talking about more of the bonus cards. This is cards from the source material bonus sheet, secret layer cards, commander product cards, team up product cards, some of the different alternate art cards, all that stuff. I've included them all as part of the cube so that the cube can play a 2-player pick 2 draft with just the main set cards, or can accommodate up to 8 players. And then it's, like one of every card from the Turtles set. And then that way it can also not only do an 8-player draft, but could also do a 4-player commander draft as well, which can be super fun. That said, there's ads incoming in like 3.5 minutes. If you don't want to watch ads, there's a number of ways you can do that and support the channel at the same time. You can subscribe. It's like $6 a month, and you get 20 free emotes to use all across Twitch. We are still in the month of Milady March, because it's Women's Month, so we have 20 emotes, all with women in them, to celebrate Women's Month. In addition, maybe you were gifted a sub in the last big gifted sub bomb we had on the channel, and you want to pay it forward and help a homie not watch ads. You can also gift subs. On top of those, if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free subscription to a Twitch channel of your choice every month with Twitch Prime. Why not consider this channel? I think it's pretty good, but I'm also pretty biased. On top of that, if you have Twitch Turbo, you can watch ad-free across all of Twitch, and Twitch then pays the streamer the same amount as if a Tier 1 subscriber was watching during a scheduled ad break. And past those, I get it. The economy's in a real weird place right now. You can't afford to sub. If you still want to support the channel and toss a coin to your streamer, you can do so in the form of bits. It's a great way to say, hey, I like what you do, keep doing it, without breaking the bank. That said, we've now covered that. Really quick, want to remind everyone, you can check out the deck list on Archidect. We've got the link in the chat let me just, before I get too far and forget, let me pin that message there. There we go. The pinned message in the chat, or if you're watching this later on YouTube, you can check out the description below the YouTube video to see the Archidect list. That said, we've covered all of the advertisement stuff. We've mentioned where you can find the deck lists. Want to shout out both Happy Boy Games and Omega on Deck, friends of the channel, both awesome music makers. Happy, who has made a bunch of the different versions of the Get Comfy, Get Cozy theme that you will hear on the podcast tonight. And Omega, who makes a bunch of dope lo-fi that we will be hearing a little bit later on. Want to thank them for allowing me to use their awesome music, or in some cases, like with Happy, straight up making the music for me. Because podcasts are fun, but they definitely are more entertaining if you have musical accompaniment. That said, we've gone through the promos, we've gone through all the thank yous and the shout outs. let's jump in to some magic cards, shall we? So I'm going to get my eyes on here because otherwise I can't read very well. And let's flip the camera around and adjust it. Something like that. Wait for it. Why is my camera not working? What? Why is the camera not working? One sec. Hold on. Why has that not... I'm not entirely sure why my camera is not working on the backside. Let me see here. Huh. Weird. It should just... I don't know why that is so strange. Let me see here. It was just working. Well, awkward. So, let me plug my camera back in here. This might be kind of janky, but I can't think of another means to get it to work. So, let's see here. We'll do it this way. We'll do it live. Something like this. Let's see here. Hopefully... Alright. Let's see. How does that work? Is that coming across? Maybe back a little bit further. I'm not sure why the camera didn't want to flip around. That's very strange. There we go. That should work. At least it's workable. I might angle that down just a little bit more. Okay. I think that will work. Hopefully that will suffice. Don't know why my camera stopped working, but we fixed it live. At least it is functional. Anyway, sorry for the technical difficulties, everybody. Let's get into the card, shall we? So, as we are having a look at here, these are all part of the source material bonus sheet cards. So, these are all going to be cards with artwork from the comic books. We're just going to go through in color order. Starting off, we have Path to Exile, 1 white mana for an instant that has you exile target creature. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. This is good removal. It's premium removal in white. If you're in a deck that can run white, you probably want a Path to Exile and a Swords to Plowshares. A lot of people have brought up why there is just some woman on this card for Path to Exile. Fun fact, we are going to get into some of the source material of where it's taking that inspiration from. So, this is the cover for, I believe it was the TMNT number 11, which was the issue where the Turtles lose to the Foot Clan and then have to go into hiding in exile at April O'Neil's family farm in Northampton. So this is literally April and the Turtles on the path to exile. It's not just some random person. This is actually an old cover. And I believe one of the first times we've seen April O'Neil on the cover of a comic. One of, maybe not the first. Next up, just one at a time, please. There we go. We have Teleportation Circle. It's 3 and a white for an enchantment. Says at the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 target artifact or creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. So this is, you get to blink something, right? Sorry, there's a really bad glare on these. Let me see if I can do something about that. Maybe if I turn the light a little bit, maybe turn it down a click. That might help. So this is actually, again, another classic Mirage era cover. This is the issue where the Turtles have just come back from outer space fighting the Triceratons, and also happens to be the cover image that they used for the box art for the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game on the NES. And it's when they are teleported back to Earth. So it's literally them entering from a teleportation circle. And one of my all-time favorite images. Also, as a reminder, the Turtles originally all had red bandanas in the Mirage era. The different colors is something they added during the 1987 cartoon to help differentiate the Turtles for younger audiences. Next, we have Trouble in Pairs. 2 white for an enchantment. Says, if an opponent would begin an extra turn, instead that player skips that turn. And whenever an opponent attacks you with 1 or more creatures, two or more creatures, draws their second card each turn, or casts their second spell each turn, you draw a card. So this is a card that I believe has not been reprinted. It may have seen 1 reprint in a Commander product. But this was originally printed in the Murders at Karlov Manor Commander decks. Kind of famously got in some hot water because the artist may or may not have allegedly, I don't know if it was ever confirmed, but allegedly stole the artwork from another artist. So that's not good. But this is, I believe, the artwork from one of the covers in, I want to say, the Return to New York storyline, after the Turtles have gone into exile in Northampton and then returned to New York. Next up, we have Brainstorm. 1 blue mana for an instant. Says draw 3 cards and put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. This is an image from one of the more recent times in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I believe this is part of the Jason Aaron run and Juan Ferreira. I think around that run. This is actually part of the Mateus Santuloco art, whom I'm a big fan of. This may be older. It may be older than the Jason Aaron run. I don't remember exactly, but it is the image of Splinter communicating via astral projection, I guess you could call it, through meditation. Next, we have Cytoplast Manipulator, 2 blue for a creature human wizard mutant with graft 2, so it enters with 2 1/1 counters. It's normally a 0/0, but it'll get those 2 1/1 counters. You can pay a blue, tap, gain control of target creature with a +1/+1 counter on it for as long as this creature remains on the battlefield. So graft, of course, anytime a creature enters the battlefield, you can remove a 1/1 counter from this creature and put it on that creature. But for a single blue mana and tapping, you could just take anything that has a +1/+1 counter on it. So you could either put it on there by removing it from this one with the graft mechanic, or since this is the Turtles set and +1/+1 counters are very prevalent, your opponent puts a 1/1 counter on something, you can just steal it. And this is one of the old Eastman Laird covers. I believe this was the first appearance we get of the Utrom. It's not Krang specifically, because Krang was a creation more for the show starting out. In the comics, they were just these... They actually weren't even villains. They were just these aliens called the Utrom that were here on Earth. Next up, we have Splinter of the Shadows, better known as Ashcoat of the Shadow Swarm. 3 and a black for a 3/4 legendary rat warlock. Says whenever Splinter attacks or blocks, other rats you control get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of rats you control. At the beginning of your end step, you may mill 4 cards. If you do, return up to 2 rat creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. So this has quickly become a lot of rat players' favorite new commander, especially if you're doing relentless rats or colony rats. This is how you can easily get any of your rats into combat without worrying about them dying, or even if they do die, you just get more rats back to your hand. This is one of the covers, I want to say, from volume 4 of Ninja Turtles, I think. I want to say it was Michael Dooney. I think this was much later on. This is like after the Ninja Turtles did volume 3 at Image Comics, when they went back to just Mirage, after Kevin Eastman had parted ways with the company. I want to say this was that era of the Turtles. So like early 2000s, somewhere in there. Next we have Plague of Vermin, 6 and a black for a sorcery. Says starting with you, each player may pay any amount of life. Repeat this process until no one pays life. Each player creates a 1/1 black rat creature token for each 1 life they paid this way. It's a great way to just fill the board with rats. This, of course, is... I think this is... I want to say the second printing of issue number 2, or it might be third printing of issue number 2 for the Ninja Turtles, when the Mousers were first introduced. Good little rat spell there. Next we have All Will Be One, 3 red for an enchantment. Whenever you put one or more counters on a permanent or player, this enchantment deals that much damage to target opponent, creature an opponent controls, or planeswalker an opponent controls. This, of course, very good card combos off very easily with a number of counter pieces that we saw in the set Phyrexia All Will Be One. This is making reference, of course, to the New York Times best-selling story, The Last Ronin, in which the Last Ronin there, I won't spoil who it is if you don't know, but Three of the four turtles have died, as well as Casey Jones and Splinter, and one of the turtles is left alive. They become the last Ronin. Next, we have silver-clad Ferocidons. Yo, what's up, Elf? Sorry, I didn't see you come in there. And welcome on in, JR. Welcome, welcome. Enjoy your lurk. I know you're also streaming, JR. So let me get you some shout outs here. And welcome new friend Elf, Tiny Elf Kid. Let me get those shout outs. There we go. And of course, we will be more than likely we'll be seeing JR Team Evil here in a couple hours, as we very often raid on into the channel. Yo, what's up, Happy? How's it going? Welcome on in. Welcome, welcome. Let me get you a shout out as well, Happy. Hi from you, Happy Wife, Happy Junior, and Happy Baby. The whole crew. Watch it on the TV. Well, thank you guys so much. Welcome on in. Welcome, welcome. Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties today. I could not get my camera to flip around, so if there's a weird shine on the cards, my apologies. It's because I had to flip the entire phone around. But that's why I'm reading the cards through to everybody. That way you can still see what they say. Oh, and you know what? I was going to do this too. For Tiny Elf Kid, because I believe this is my coworker. I'm pretty sure. Elf, you don't have to out yourself by any means. But if this is my new coworker, let me... How do I... There we go. I want to set this up. There we go. I believe that is the right person. Let me see here. One sec. I don't know if you saw or not. Happy, I did. We did get a payout. Well, kind of a payout. I got a usable balance from Twitch, finally. So we're gifting subs to the community today, because it's the first stream since I've noticed. So I'm going to gift some subs to the community here. And there we go. Oh, I normally get a payout every month from Twitch. It just, sometimes it takes longer than others. There we go. And we're going to gift a subby to Tiny Elf Kid. There we go. Friends, enjoy your ad-free viewing. And your 20 free emotes for the next month. There we go. And point of order, we will also have here in like what, a week and a half, the emotes are going to change. So make use of your Milady March emotes, because they will be changing in April. I'm thinking I'm going to make a whole bunch of Final Fantasy emotes. Anywho, let's get back into the cube, where we will be here until April. So we have silver-clad Ferocidons, 5 red. Oh, and by the way, also, I know you said Sorry, I'm still recovering from being sick, y'all. The fever just barely broke, like, this morning, and it's kind of still there, not nearly as bad as it was. So I'm still recovering. My apologies if my brain is soup. But hello to Happy Wife, Happy Junior, and Happy Baby. Hello to the whole family. And to Happy Boy himself. So, Silverclad Ferocidons here. 5 red for an 8/5 dinosaur with Enrage. Whenever this creature is dealt damage, each opponent sacrifices a permanent of their choice. So this is a really nice card to be able to attack with, and if your opponents block, then they're having to sacrifice stuff. If you have any kind of ping strategies where you get to deal a damage to something, you can ping your Ferocidon, and then your opponents have to sacrifice a permanent. Now, mind you, it is an instance of damage. So if your opponents block your 8/5 with a 5/5, that is a singular instance of damage. So they only have to sacrifice a single permanent. So ideally what you want is something that would do 1 damage once, 1 at a time. So that you can continue to ping the dinosaur and then make them sacrifice more stuff. But this is one of the early Mirage era Turtles covers where they do go fight the Ferocidons, the Triceratons rather. It is one of the covers for one of those issues. I do love the art that they chose here because the Magic card name was always Silverclad Ferocidons. They did choose the cover that has a Triceraton in silver short shorts. So it is literally a silver-clad Triceraton, or Ferocidon. It's a good reference. Next up, we have Underworld Breach. 1 and a red for an enchantment. Each non-land card in your graveyard has escape. The escape cost is equal to its mana cost plus exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. At the beginning of the end step, sacrifice this enchantment. So, a couple of things. Number 1, this is a cover. Again, I believe this is... I want to say this might be from the TMNT Adventures series of comics. Which ran alongside the mainline Turtles, or this might be one of the later volumes, maybe a volume 3 or volume 4 Turtles, as this is not an Eastman Laird art. This is actually Dan Berger and Eric Talbot, who both worked at Mirage, but they were doing more, they weren't the original creators. They came on later. A lot of people are confused about this card as they see the red bandana in the clawed hand there, and they're like, oh, there's too many fingers on it. This must be AI. It's not AI. It's actually, I believe this is Leatherhead's hand, the crocodile, one of the villains, or Mutanimals, depending on which history you're going with. It might be Slash, actually, come to think of it. This might have been one of the first appearances where they thought Slash had died, and turns out was still very much alive. But Underworld Breach, very playable card, beloved in modern and formats like Canadian Highlander, as that escape ability is super nice at being able to replay a bunch of cards from your graveyard if you've loaded a bunch in there. Next up, we have the classic Doubling Season. 4 and a green for an enchantment. If an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many of those tokens instead. And same thing, but for counters. So if an effect would put 1 or more counters on a permanent you control, you place twice that many counters on that permanent instead. In a set that makes lots of tokens and places lots of counters, Doubling Season is great. Also, this is the cover for TMNT number 1. This was the cover for the very first issue in this color scheme for TMNT number 1. Next we have This is the Rhythm of the Wild. Rhythm of the Wild, 1 red-green for an enchantment. Creature spells you control can't be countered, and non-token creatures you control have Riot. So Riot is a mechanic where your creatures can enter either with haste for the turn, or they enter with a 1/1 counter. So if you want them to be able to attack right away, you can give them haste and send them right in. Or if you want them to be bigger or have things that want counter synergies, then you want to give them that 1/1 counter. The nice thing is also added benefit, none of your creature spells can be countered, which is very nice. This is in reference to, I believe this was, I want to say this was one of the early annuals, or possibly one of the crossovers. I don't remember the exact issue, but this is the issue where Renette, the time sorceress, shows up. Savanti Romero, also there mucking about with time, takes the turtles back to the prehistoric age. You can see that's why you've got the turtles and Renette and Savanti all riding on dinosaurs. Just very rad 80s and 90s artwork. Next, we have Waves of Aggression. 3 Boros, so red-white hybrid. For a sorcery, says untap all creatures that attacked this turn. After this main phase, there's an additional combat phase, followed by an additional main phase, and has retrace. So you can discard a land card in addition to paying its mana cost to cast this again from the graveyard. So if you have enough lands in hand, or you have things that draw you cards during combat or what have you, say you keep drawing enough lands, you could potentially keep casting this if you have a way to generate enough mana. Alternatively, if this is just sitting in your graveyard, you could always do it again on another turn. Here's the trick that a lot of people miss about this. You don't cast this in your first main phase. You go to combat. You want to have gone to combat, finished through combat, and then in your second main, that's when you cast this. Because it looks to see for the creatures that have attacked. So then as you pass through that main phase, it adds a new combat phase followed by a new main phase, where you could then cast it again, and so on and so on and so on. But again, another classic Eastman and Laird art. I think this is, I believe this is art from, if this isn't City at War, the end of volume 1 of the Turtles, or volume 2, then this might be the, I don't think it is, but this might be the original showdown with the Shredder in issue 1. I don't remember exactly the reference they're going with. But cool art nonetheless. Next we have Arcbound Ravager, 2 mana for a 0/0 artifact robot beast, or artifact creature beast rather. Sacrifice an artifact, put a 1/1 counter on this creature, also has modular 1, so it comes in with a 1/1 counter, and whenever this creature dies, all of its 1/1 counters can then be moved on to another creature. This, of course, is an iconic cover. This is the cover for TMNT number 2 that introduced April O'Neil, Baxter Stockman, the Mousers, many of longtime friend and foe characters. Next, we have the Ronin's Arsenal, 2 mana for an artifact equipment. This, of course, is a reprint of Conqueror's Flail. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each color among permanents you control. So ideally, you want to be with a lot. You want to have a lot of color permanents in your deck. As long as this equipment is attached to a creature, your opponents can't cast spells during your turn, which is just great, right? Stops them from killing your stuff. And equips for 2. Note that the Ronin's Arsenal, it is doing, this is another Last Ronin art. Each of the 4 turtles has a source material card showing off one of their weapons. I won't say more than that for sake of spoilers, because you should just go read The Last Ronin. Next we have Metallic Mimic, 2 mana artifact creature shapeshifter, 2/1, that says as this creature enters, choose a creature type. This creature is the chosen type in addition to its other types, and each other creature you control of the chosen type enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. So this, of course, is classic Michael Dooney artwork of the Fugitoid, who actually predates the Turtles by just a little bit. Eastman and Laird had created the Fugitoid character just before they created the Turtles, if memory serves. And they ended up rolling him into the mainline Turtles mythos. Next we have Donnie's Bow, 1 mana for a legendary artifact equipment. This, of course, is Shadow Spear. Equipped creature gets +1/+1, has trample and lifelink, and you can pay 1 mana. Permanents your opponent's control lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Equips for 2. Just a great equipment. You get to beef something up, give it trample and lifelink, and even if this isn't equipped to something, you can still pay that 1. And if your opponent is playing heavy hexproof stuff, or maybe a God's deck that has lots of indestructible, you can just straight up remove all of that from them. And this, of course, is artwork actually from the Donatello. What was it? The Donatello mini comic from the beginning of. It was part of the micro series or the macro series. I don't remember which one. But early on in IDW's run, they did a one-shot for each of the Turtles, just like Eastman and Laird did early on. This is one of the covers for the Donatello one-shot. Next, we have Leo's Katana, which is a functional reprint of Sword of Sinew and Steel. 3 mana for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2, has protection from black and red. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, destroy up to 1 target planeswalker and up to 1 target artifact. Equips for 2. A lot of people were making comments about, oh, they got the wrong turtle on there because they saw the red bandana. Here again, remember, the Turtles all wore red back in the day. This is, I forget what issue number this is. Oh, you know what? This is Peter Laird. This is the Leonardo one-shot from the Mirage era. This is the cover of that. Next we have Raf's Jite, 2 mana for a legendary artifact equipment that equips for 2. This, of course, is a reprint of Umezawa's Jite. Whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage, put 2 charge counters on Raf's Jite. You can remove a charge counter from Raf's Jite to choose 1. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, or target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn, or you gain 2 life. So you put this on something that has double strike, it's going to get 4 charge counter. Mind you, it doesn't say it has to deal combat damage to a player, just deals combat damage. And you can do this at instant speed. So you could, in theory, I put it on a double strike creature, right? I hit with first strike damage, I get 2 charge counters. I'm going to remove both of those charge counters to give something -2/-2, hit in second strike damage, get 2 more charge counters, remove, That's why people talk in such reverence about Umezawa's Jite. This card is messed up. The versatility and use that it has. Because you can either make your creature large enough to potentially kill your opponents out of nowhere, or remove problematic creatures from their board, or gain life and stop you from dying at instant speed. It has many, many uses. And finally, we have Undercity Sewers, a land island swamp. This land enters tapped, and when it enters, surveil 1. By the way, the Rafts GT, this is the cover of the Raphael one-shot from the Mirage era. And then Undercity Sewers, I want to say this is one of the covers for... was this another of the Return to New York stories, I think? After they've come back from Northampton Farm, I think. It's been a minute. But this, of course, is a reprint of one of the lands from Murders at Karlov Manor. First time we've actually seen one of those lands reprinted, so it's kind of nice to see them catching reprints here and there. This is the blue-black Surveil land from that set. All right, so that is it for the source material cards. Let's take a look at some secret layers, shall we? So, if you are a fan of the classic era Ninja Turtles, the 1987 cartoon, then you are probably going to enjoy these next cards tremendously. I know Happy Boy and myself both grew up on this cartoon, as I'm sure many of you did. I was very much excited when I saw these cards get announced for the secret layers, because they are all evocative of the 1987 cartoon series, and also all look like VHS tapes. For any of our younger viewers, this is kind of like what we had before Netflix. This is how you rewatched things. You had before Netflix we had DVD. Before DVD we had VHS. This is how you rewatched stuff. And I know that there's some people out there probably watching that are like, "Oh, I love retro media," and I will turn to dust on stream. But looking at the secret layer, so this is part of the Magic Club secret layer. They used to have these VHS that you could, join a membership on, and they'd send you VHS tapes for. So all of these are going to be reprint creatures from Magic history with new art referencing new characters. So up first, we have this double feature. This is Delver of Secrets, a 1 blue for a 1/1 human wizard creature that says, at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top. This is very small text, and I normally have my phone to be able to read it a little easier, but the camera messed up. Look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card. If an instant or sorcery is revealed this way, transform this creature. There's the placeholder I put in the draft set. Transforms into Insectile Aberration, a 3/2 human insect with flying. So this, of course, is Baxter Stockman, transforming into Stockman Fly. Just cool little double-sided card. Next, we have Shredder Criminal Mastermind, which is a reprint of Higure the Stillwind. 3 blue for a legendary human ninja, 3/4 with ninjutsu for 2 and 2 blue. And whenever Shredder deals combat damage to a player, you may search your library for a ninja card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. You can also pay to target ninja creature can't be blocked this turn. So great reprint there. Higurae has needed a reprint for a long time. This card has not been printed nearly enough. Glad to see Higurae catching a reprint. Next we have Species Specialist, 2 black for a human warrior creature. 2/3 with, as this creature enters, choose a creature type. Whenever a creature of the chosen type dies, you may draw a card. This, of course, is the moment when Shredder is making Bebop and Rocksteady. Next we have the Stampeding Brutes, also known as Rampaging Baloths. 4 green for a creature beast 6/6 with trample and landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, you create a 4/4 green beast creature token. Great representation for Bebop and Rocksteady, 2 of my favorites as a kid. Next we have Krang's Android, which is a reprint of Triskelion. 6 mana for an artifact creature construct, 1/1. With this creature enters with 3 +1/+1 counters on it. You can remove a +1/+1 counter from this creature to deal 1 damage to any target. So, like I said, this is a perfect point to... You want this and like Silverclad Ferocidons, right? Then you can remove a 1/1 counter, ping Silverclad Ferocidons, your opponents all have to sacrifice something. You can remove another counter, ping Silverclad Ferocidons, and so on. And you can just keep putting more counters on Trike here and continue removing them to ping stuff as you need. Next we have the bonus card for this secret lair. This one does come, I believe, only in foil. Maybe there is a non-foil. The version I got was in foil for this. Even though I ordered all the secret layers non-foil, I think some of the bonus cards are just only printed in foil to help so they don't have to print them twice. In any case, this is Piper of the Swarm, 1 and a black for a creature human warlock, 1/3. With rats you control have menace. You can pay 1 and a black and tap to create a 1/1 black rat creature token, and pay 2 black and tap and sacrifice 3 rats to gain control of target creature. This, of course, is the Rat King from the old cartoon series. I just really dig that VHS artwork. It can be a little tough to read. I give him that. A lot of the online discourse people say is, oh, these are really difficult to read. And I see that. But it is cool to see representations of that classic cartoon art style. Next, we have the Mighty Mutanimals secret layer. So this is all going to be art from the Mighty Mutanimals and TMNT Adventures series, which was being, this was running alongside the mainline Ninja Turtles comic back in the 80s and 90s, but revolved, it had its own storylines, had its own characters, actually ran pretty regularly for a long time there. So first up we have Man Ray Eco Avenger. This, of course, is a reprint of Deep Glow Skate. 4 and a blue for a 3/3 creature fish. With when this creature enters, double the number of each kind of counter on any number of target permanents. So great way to just enters. Do you have, you know, a couple of 1/1 counters on each of your creatures? You drop this creature in, you double all the counters on your stuff. Mind you, if you have this and doubling season out, it's going to put double of double. So that's pretty nice. Next we have Slash Evil Turtle from Dimension X, which is a reprint of Pirated Copy. 4 and a blue for a 0/0 creature shapeshifter pirate. You may have this creature enter as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it's a pirate in addition to its other types. And it has whenever this creature or another creature with the same name deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. So, fun thing you can do with this, you can play this as a politics piece. You can copy an opponent's creature, and then when their creature hits, they get to draw a card. And when your slash hits, you can draw a card. Or if you copy one of your own creatures, then you have two creatures that both get to draw you cards. So there's a few different ways you can play it, right? Either you get to draw more cards, or you can work out deals with your opponents about like, hey, if I do this, then you'll get to draw cards, and don't attack me for a turn. Of course, this I'm speaking solely from Commander. You don't really do that in 1v1. Sorry, gotta stay hydrated. Doing lots of yapping. There we go. Next we have Mondo Gecko Esquire, reprint of Kedis, Ember Claw Familiar. 1 in red for a 1/1 legendary elemental lizard. With whenever a commander you control deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to each other opponent and has partner. This, of course, only really useful if you're playing in Commander, but still a very good, very needed reprint. It's a very good partner commander. It goes with just about anything. If you're running a commander that has partner, you might as well run Kedis as the other one, because it'll give you access to red if your other commander doesn't already. And then everybody wants to be able to have, I want to, hit with one creature and hit everybody. And Kedis does that. Next we have Hardened Scales, classic enchantment. 1 green, if one or more 1/1 +1/+1 counters would be put on a creature you control, that many +1 +1/+1 counters are put on it instead. So we've seen this in one of the Michelangelos from the main set. It has a similar thing. I think it's Improviser, or it might be Game Master. One of the Michelangelos, or maybe it's Weirdness to 11. I think it's Weirdness to 11. Has a similar effect. It's kind of like Doubling Season, except Doubling Season does twice as many. This just does an additional. But the nice thing is if you have two of these replacement effects, say you have Hardened Scales and a Doubling Season, you got to put a +1/+1 counter. Hardened Scales says, oh, you're putting a +1/+1 counter. Like, say you crack a mutagen token, right? Says, hey, you put a +1/+1 counter. Instead, you're going to put two +1/+1 counters. And then if you have Doubling Season out, it says, oh, you're putting two +1/+1 counters. Well, we're going to double that. So you get 4 for one mutagen token. Next, we have Mutanimals United. This is a reprint of Triumph of the Hordes. 2 green for a sorcery. It says, until end of turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample and infect. Woof. So, this is your big game ender in green, right? It's not really an overrun, but hey, even if you have a bunch of 1/1s, you have a bunch of little 1/1 creatures, you cast this spell, they're suddenly 2/2s, they can't block everything, you're swinging in. If you can deal 10 poison counters to a player, they lose the game. So, you just drop this on there, all your creatures are trample-y, they all have infect. Mind you, infect deals damage to players in the form of that many poison counters, but deals damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters. So it's not nothing, right? that everything you're attacking with, even if it's getting blocked with something bigger than the creature that it's blocking, it's still getting shrunken down by those -1/-1 counters. And of course, it's nice to see the entirety of the Mutanimals team here. You have Jaguar, Dreadmon, Leatherhead, Man Ray, Mondo Gecko, Wingnut, and Screwloose. All together, that made up the main Mutanimals team, including Slash, who did die for a long time in the Mutanimals comic. Like, a lot of people see this, kind of cartoony artwork because this was being printed by Archie Comics back in the day. And so people assumed, the TMNT Adventures and Mutanimals, right? It's for kids. It's not as gritty or as grown up. But a lot more people died in the Mutanimals and Adventures comics than died in the Mirage Turtles. Like, they were writing stories for grown-ups. They just had a cartoony art style to it. And then we have our bonus card for the Mutanimals Secret Lair. This is Intergalactic Wrestling, which is a reprint of Possibility Storm, which I've never seen this Magic card before it showed up as part of this Secret Lair. This card is bananas. It's only had like one printing before this that I could find. So it's 3 red for an enchantment that says whenever a player casts a spell from their hand, that player exiles it, then exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a card that shares a card type with it. That player may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then they put all cards exiled with this enchantment on the bottom of their library in a random order. So, what this says is, I go to cast... you have Possibility Storm or Intergalactic Wrestling out. I go to cast Mutanimals United, or Triumph of the Hordes. This is a 4-mana sorcery. Instead of resolving this spell, I exile this spell, and I start flipping cards off the top of my deck until I hit a sorcery. I then may cast that sorcery instead. Like, I either cast that or nothing. Because all of the cards that I reveal until I hit that sorcery and the card I wanted to cast are all going on the bottom of my deck. So this is just absolute chaos. This is chaos in a Magic card. Also, again, this is from the TMNT Adventures comic, part of the Intergalactic Wrestling storyline. I cannot remember this character's name. He was part of the storyline where the Turtles got new costumes. You had Raph in like an all-black outfit that was reminiscent of the symbiote costume that Spider-Man wore. You had, I think Leonardo had like a rising sun design, or Donatello had like a rising sun design. Michelangelo had kind of like a superhero costume design. But basically, they all got transported to this battle nexus where they had to wrestle on this intergalactic wrestling stream. And this character here, I can't... was it Malhoun, I think? Something like that. Basically a stand-in for your 90s WWF wrestler, right? A Hulk Hogan, a Macho Man, something like that. And that was it for the Mutanimals Secret Lair. Let's keep rocking and rolling through the Secret Lairs as we jump into one of my favorites, the Rabbit Samurai himself. This was amongst my favorite toys growing up. Usagi Yojimbo was one of my favorite action figures I had as a kid. Of course, has crossed over with the Ninja Turtles many, many times, but Miyamoto Usagi is not actually a Ninja Turtles character. He's just crossed over with them a number of times. This is a character that was created by Stan Sakai, who actually did this artwork. This Miyamoto Usagi is a reprint of Balin the Haymaker, a card from Bloomburrow. Costs red, green, and a white for a 4/3 legendary rabbit warrior. You can tap 2 untapped tokens you control to add a mana of any color. You can tap 3 untapped tokens you control to draw a card. Or you tap 4 untapped tokens you control, put 3 +1/+1 counters on Miyamoto Usagi, and he gains trample until end of turn. So, if you're in a deck that makes lots of tokens, you can tap a bunch of tokens, get you some more mana, or draw you cards, or just on the first time. Now, mind you, this can all be done at instant speed, right? You could make yourself a 7/6 with trample, and all you have to do is tap 4 tokens. So, pretty good. Next, we have Katsuichi's Peace, which is a reprint of Felidar Retreat. Very needed reprint. 3 and a white for an enchantment with landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, choose 1. Create a 2/2 white cat beast creature token. Or put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Those creatures gain vigilance until end of turn. Very, very good enchantment, especially in a token deck. Every time you're playing a land, you're making cat beasts or you're buffing your board up. You can't go wrong with either of those choices. Next, we have Master of Ceremonies. Again, another much needed reprint. Hasn't been reprinted very often. Master of Ceremonies, 3 and a white for a 3/4 Rhino Druid creature. With at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent chooses money, friends, or secrets. For each player who chose money, you and that player each create a treasure token. For each player who chose friends, you and that player each create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token. And for each player who chose secrets, you and that player each draw a card. It's just great, right? So 2 out of those 3 options, I'm getting tokens that I can use to activate Usagi, right? Because 1 makes a treasure token, 1 makes a 1/1 body. Both of those are tokens I can tap to beef up Usagi. Or I get to draw cards, and drawing cards wins games. So there's no bad options here. And at worst, like, you drop this, you, on your next turn, say all 3 of your opponents choose money, cool. They each get a treasure, you get 3 treasures. You're now up 3 mana. Or if they all chose friends, cool, you're now up 3 1/1s. They all chose secrets, cool, you drew 3 cards. This card could get out of hand very quickly. I want to say this was, this would have originally been Streets of New Capenna. It might have been the Commander product, so it hasn't been reprinted very often. Next, we have classic token doubler, Second Harvest. 2 green for an instant. For each token you control, create a token that's a copy of that permanent. You got treasure tokens, you got citizen tokens, you got clues and foods and mutagens and tons of different kinds of tokens that is in the main turtle set. You make a bunch of tokens, you spend 4 mana, you just doubled your tokens. Next, we have the Grass Cutting Sword, which is a reprint of Sunforger. 3 mana artifact equipment that equips for 3. Equipped creature gets +1 or +4/+0, and you can pay a red and a white, unattach this equipment, search your library for a red or white instant card with mana value 4 or less, and cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then shuffle. So for 2 mana, I get a 4-drop red or white instant that I just get to cast for free. Up to 4-drop. that is. Great versatility in the ability to just tutor you up cards. And then, you know, again, 3 mana to cast it, 3 mana to equip, gives you +4/+0. It's making your Usagi an 8/3, which is not bad. Like, that's enough to, you know, kill an opponent in 3 hits on commander damage. Then we have the bonus card for the Usagi Secret Lair. This is big score, 3 and a red for an instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards, and create 2 treasure tokens. So, again, 4-drop instant. It's the perfect kind of card to get with a grass cutting sword. Next, we have the Kevin Eastman Secret Lair. So these are just cards that Kevin wanted to do artwork on. They hired him to do the artwork for all 5 of the creatures we're about to see. First up, we have Loxodon Gatekeeper, 2 white for an elephant soldier creature, 2/3, that says artifacts, creatures, and lands your opponents control enter tapped. Great stacks piece. Next, we have Sakashima's Student, 2 blue for a 0/0 human ninja creature with ninjutsu for 1 and a blue. You may have this creature enter as a copy of any creature on the battlefield except it's a ninja in addition to its other creature types. Sakashima's Student, classic ninja, needed a reprint. It was long overdue for one. Glad to see it getting more love. Next, we have Throat Slitter, 4 and a black for a 2/2 rat ninja with ninjutsu for 3 and a black. Says whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, destroy target non-black creature that player controls. You just get removal. You hit them with this rat ninja, you get to kill something of theirs. Next, we have Gutter Snipe. He's just a weird little guy. Gutter Snipe, 2 and a red for a 2/2 goblin shaman creature. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this creature deals 2 damage to each opponent. So, a auto include in pretty much all of your spell slinger type decks. If you're doing any kind of instant and sorcery play patterns, you want a Gutter Snipe because it's very often going to be part of your win condition to kill the table. And finally, we have the bonus card from this secret lair, the Butcher of Malakir. 5 black for a 5/4 vampire warrior with flying. Whenever this creature or another creature you control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice. So, your typical thing you want to do, you drop Butcher of Malakir, you play some kind of sacrifice piece, or activate one of your sacrifice outlets, sacrifice one of your creatures, your opponents have to get rid of creatures from their board. Butcher of Malakir seen in a lot of like Sephiroth lists lately because it's a great way to trigger multiple creature deaths in a single turn. Next, we have the Last Ronin Secret Lair. So, each of these cards is going to be themed around one of the turtles or Splinter with artwork from The Last Ronin. So, first up, we have Settle the Wreckage, 2 white for an instant. Says exile all attacking creatures target player controls. That player may search their library for that many basic land cards, put those cards onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. It's instant speed. Your opponent goes for an alpha swing against you. You nope them out of combat. You exile all those creatures. They get a bunch of lands, yes, but typically you're casting this in response to them trying to kill you in a single combat. Then you get to untap and kill them on the crackback. This, of course, also is the moment where Leonardo and Casey Jones battled the Foot Clan in Last Ronin. Next we have a classic for some modern and vintage play, Mental Misstep, which is a Phyrexian blue. So this can be paid either with blue mana or 2 life. So it could be a free spell. It's an instant that says counter target spell with mana value 1 specifically, not or less, not up to. It's the perfect counter for your opponent's Soul Ring. This also sees a lot of CEDH play, competitive Elder Dragon Highlander or competitive commander. This, of course, artwork showing Donatello. Next, we have Splinter Vengeful Sensei, which is a reprint of Ink Eyes, Servant of Oni, which was, again, another needed reprint. 4 black for a 5/4 legendary rat ninja with ninjutsu for 3 black. Says, whenever Splinter deals combat damage to a player, you may put target creature card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. You can also pay 1 and a black to regenerate Splinter. So, hard to get rid of. It's taking stuff from your opponent's real nuisance of a creature. Next we have Anger. 3 and a red for a 2/2 creature incarnation with haste. And as long as this card is in your graveyard and you control a mountain, creatures you control have haste. This, of course, showing some amazing artwork of Raphael in his assault on the Foot Clan, just getting absolutely ruined by arrows and throwing stars as he took the fight to the foot. Next we have Chord of Calling. X, green for an instant with Convoke. So you can tap any creatures as well as pay mana to pay the cost for this spell. Each creature that you tap can pay for a color. If it's a green creature you're tapping, it can pay for a green pip. Or you can use it to help pay into the X cost of X. And it just lets, it's a creature tutor. Search your library for a creature card with mana value X or less, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. Pure and simple. You have a 5-drop you want to get, you pay 3 green and 5, you go get that 5-drop, you put it directly into play. Chord of Calling, just a great creature tutor. And of course that featured the Last Ronin himself. If you haven't figured out by now, you looking at the artwork of these different cards, I would hope you figured out who the Last Ronin is, but you should still go read the story for yourself because it's very good. And then we have the bonus card with the secret layer. We have Regrowth, 1 and a green for a sorcery that says return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Pure and simple. This is, of course, the next generation of turtles. These are the 4 baby turtles that we meet at the end of the Last Ronin that you see more of in Last Ronin Lost Years, and especially in Last Ronin 2 Re-Evolution. They are more the heroes of that story. And that's it for the secret layers. We are now going to have a look at some of the team-up cards. These are all of the mechanically unique cards that appeared in the team-up box for the hero decks. Starting off, we have the cards from Raphael's deck. We have Casey and Raph, Hotheads, 4 and a red for a 4/4 legendary mutant ninja human turtle When Casey and Raph enter, choose one or both. Each mode must target a different player. Target player exiles the top card of their library until that player's next end step. They may play that card without paying its mana cost. Or, target player creates 2 treasure tokens. So again, these cards were developed more for cooperative play. So you're meant to, work out amongst the table. Like you could have one of these effects target you, one target one of your allies, or have both target 2 different allies. It has a multiple different use case. But because this was part of a cooperative box set, a lot of these mechanically unique cards you'll see do care about multiple players being targeted with things. Next we have Ticked Off, 1 and a red for a sorcery. Target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Just straightforward. You love a good pump spell. Now granted, it is sorcery speed, so you can't do it as a combat trick. You can't do it in combat, but you could do it before combat, and giving double strike to things is always good. Next we have Casey Jones, Asphalt Hooligan, 2 and a red for a 2/2 legendary human berserker with double strike, and you can pay 4 double Casey Jones power until end of turn. Any player may activate this ability. So again, this is what we were talking about before, where a lot of these cards care about being in a cooperative setting, right? Because anybody could pay for this, and it can be done at instant speed. So if you have the mana, say you have 8 mana, you swing in with Casey, you pay this twice, he becomes a 4/2 and then an 8/2 with double strike. It can get out of hand very quickly. Next we have Storm of Steel, 3 and a red for a sorcery. Storm of Steel deals 2 damage to each of 1 or 2 targets. So you basically get shock for 1 to 2 targets. The reason why it has 1 or 2 is in case something gets killed at instant speed, the spell won't fizzle, right? Also is a sorcery, so you're not going to be able to do this as a gotcha. Next we have Raph's Bravado, 1 and a red for an enchantment. During your turn, attacking creatures get +1/+0. I love cards like this. I use these to great effect in one of my mono red goblin decks in Commander, because then you just create a bunch of little 1/1 idiots that attack for 3 to 4 power, and then if they die, I get to deal damage with my commander. Next we have Monster Mashup, 3 and a red for a werewolf, fish, zombie, vampire creature, 4/3 with Reach and Menace. Just good rate, 4 mana 4/3 with Reach and Menace. It's also referenced to a couple of times in Turtles history, but specifically the one that pops to my mind was in the 2012 era cartoon. They released the Universal Monsters team up, like action figures. But I think this was in reference specifically to an episode of possibly like the 2003 series, maybe even the 87 series. But just cool to see how many references they snuck in on cards. Next we have Raphael Tag Team Tough, 4 red for a 5/6 legendary mutant ninja turtle with Menace. And whenever Raphael deals combat damage to a player for the first time each turn, untap all attacking creatures. After this combat phase, there's an additional combat phase. So, of course, this card has been making some waves around various social media and content creation, because people were saying this is a very good mono red aggro commander, especially when you pair it with all of the other ways that red can take extra combats. You just want more consistency. Another copy of a creature that does this is great to have. Next we have the Donatello deck. This is all blue theme, or all blue, well, mostly blue. Donatello, because his deck cares about artifacts primarily, there is a couple of artifact cards in here. But up first we have Donnie and April, a Dorkable duo. 4 and a blue for a legendary mutant ninja human turtle. 3/3. When Donnie and April enter, choose one or both. Each mode must target a different player, so we saw similar to this with the Raph and Casey. Either target player draws 2 cards, or target player returns an artifact, instant, or sorcery card from their graveyard to their hand. So they enter, you can do both, but you have to target 2 different people. So either you could draw cards, or you could return an instant or sorcery, or vice versa, or you choose both of your teammates. Just a lot of use and versatility in a cooperative format. Next we have April O'Neil, Human Element. I think this is probably my favorite commander legal card from bonus product that not enough people are talking about, especially if you're in a deck like the 5-color commander deck from Ninja Turtles. Because April O'Neil, Human Element, is 3 and a blue for a 2/5 legendary human detective. Whenever a player casts an artifact, instant, or sorcery, you create a mutagen token. Are your opponents doing things that aren't creatures? Great, make mutagen tokens. You're playing with Leonardo as your commander? Cool, you're getting 1/1 counters on your whole board. This is a very consistent creature. Next we have Donatello Science Lesson, 2 and a blue for an instant. Tap up to 2 target creatures, up to 2 target players, each draw a card. Now this is one of those instances that doesn't have to target 2 players. So this could see some use in versus formats, because you could tap 2 of your opponent's creatures and only you draw a card. But they put up to 2 because in a co-op format you could use it to help your fellow players. Next we have Donatello Rad Scientist, 5 and a blue for a legendary mutant ninja turtle, 5/6 with vigilance. When Donatello enters, tap up to 3 target creatures your opponents control. Put a stun counter on each of them. So, just enters, taps down some stuff, stuns them. Next we have Containment Protocol, 2 and a blue for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. When this aura enters, tap enchanted creature. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. So, this basically just sleeps something. It keeps it permanently tapped down as long as it's on the field. Next we have Utrom Monitor, 4 and a blue for an artifact Utrom Scientist creature. 3/3 with affinity for artifacts, so it costs 1 less for each artifact you have, and has flying. So if you have enough artifacts in play, you could, in theory, 1 blue for a 3/3 flying artifact creature. If you have 4 artifacts, that's just pretty decent. And finally we have one of the only colorless cards. There's only 2 colorless cards in the team-up product that is mechanically unique. This is one of them. This is Manhole Cover. It is a 2 mana artifact with flash. Says when this artifact enters, target creature gains indestructible until end of turn. So you can flash this out, combat trick style, to stop something you control from dying. And then you can pay to sacrifice this artifact. Target player draws a card. So you got card draw on it. Nice little save your creature from dying and also get some card draw on it later. That's it for the Donatello deck. Let's have a look at the Michelangelo deck next. This, of course, is going to be an all-green deck. So up first we have Mona Lisa, Ever Adaptable, 3 and a green for a legendary lizard mutant, 4/4, with whenever a player casts a creature spell, you create a mutagen token. Great. Just like the April we saw, except that one cares about artifacts, instants, and sorceries. This is doing the same thing, but for creatures. It's just great. It's consistent. It's 4 mana, 4/4. Your opponents cast creatures, or this is any player, mind you. So maybe you're in a very creature-heavy green deck. This is keeping you lots of mutagen. You get a mutagen man out. You're cracking those mutagen for free. Really, really great card. Next, we have Mikey and Mona, Mutant Sitters. 2 and a green for a legendary mutant Ninja Turtle lizard, 2/2. With when Mikey and Mona enter, choose one or both. Each mode must target a different player. Again, saw this in the previous team up cards. Target player chooses a creature they control and puts 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Or target player returns a creature or land card from their graveyard to their hand. So you get a regrowth and a board buff. Next up, we have Study the Classics. 2 and a green for a sorcery. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature, then double the number of 1/1 counters on it. You gain life equal to the number of +1/+1 counters on that creature. Great card, especially if you've got something that already has 2 or 3 1/1 counters on it. If you got, 2 +1/+1 counters on something, you play this. It gets 3 1/1 counters. You're doubling that to 6. You're gaining 6 life. It does so much for 3 mana. Next, we have Turtle Tracks. 2 and a green for a sorcery. Any number of target players may each search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield under their control, then shuffle. I really like this ramp spell for its versatility, right? Because it works great in cooperative, because, hey, I can ramp myself and all of my allies for 3 mana, right? Same mana as Cultivate. But you could also use this as a politics piece, where you can start making deals with players and say, hey, if I ramp you, will you, maybe you've got an opponent who's been stuck on lands. You say, hey, I'm going to help ramp you. Don't attack me or don't target me with something, It's got a lot of great table politic pieces in formats like Commander that you could use. Next, we have Michelangelo on the Scene. 4 green for a legendary mutant Ninja Turtle, 2/2 with trample. And Michelangelo enters with a +1/+1 counter on him for each land you control. When Michelangelo dies, return this card to your hand. Great. Just great. Straightforward. Yes, it's a 2/2, but it's 6 mana. So more than likely, if you're not playing any mana rocks, that's 6 lands you have. So this is entering with 6 +1/+1 counters. So you're getting a 6 mana 8/8 with trample that if it dies, I just return it to hand. I can cast it next turn. Great for Commander. Great for cooperative. Great for the team up product itself. Just very consistent creature. Next we have the Prehistoric Turtlesaurus. 4 and a green for a mutant ninja turtle dinosaur 4/5 creature. This spell costs 1 less to cast if you control a creature with a +1/+1 counter on it and has vigilance. So, you have a creature with a single 1/1 counter on it. You're getting a 4-mana 4/5 with Vigilance. That's just dope. It's a good creature. Foliage, or Foliage, if you will. This, of course, is the character, I want to say Stinkweed, from the 2012 Turtles series. Foliage is a 3 and a green for a 3/3 plant mutant. Whenever a land enters during your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. It's just great. It doesn't say landfall, but it's basically landfall, right? And it can just grow really big. Next, we're going to take a look at the Leonardo deck from the Team Up product. This is an all-white deck. We have the final of the Team Up cards from this product. Splinter and Leo, father and son. 2 and a white for a legendary mutant ninja rat turtle, 2/2. When Splinter and Leo enter, choose one or both. Each mode must target a different player. Target player creates a 2/2 red mutant creature token, or put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature target player controls. So you can either buff your entire board and give your opponent a 2/2, or give your ally a 2/2, or give one ally a 2/2, give another ally a whole board buff. Lots of versatility there. Next, we have the Wooden Cane. Splinter's only weapon. Yo! What's up, Charlie? Welcome on in. Enjoy your lurk. Love you too. Glad to see you. Welcome on in. So this is Splinter's only weapon that we see in any of the products. Of course, we've seen the Bespoke Bow, we saw the Heirloom Katana, we saw the Novel Nunchaku, we saw the Hard One Jite. This is Splinter's weapon, finally. It was only in the Team Up product. The Wooden Cane, 3 and a white for an artifact equipment. When this equipment enters, create a 2/2 red mutant creature token, then attach this equipment to it. Equipped creature gets +2/+1 and equips for 3. So, 4 mana, 4/3, basically. Because you make a 2/2, you attach this to it, it's getting +2/+1. So you're basically getting a 4 mana, 4/3. That's just good on rate, and you can move it around if you need to. Next, we have Leo's Guidance. 2 and a white for an instant. Put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 3 target creatures and untap them at instant speed. This is a great combat trick. You get to swing out on your opponents. They won't know what hit them. You swing out, they think they're going to crack back with no downside, right? They go to hit you on the crackback. You get them with that 3 mana. Your board just got bigger. You untap your stuff. You munch their whole board. Just a really, really great combat trick. Next, we have Hamato Ninpo. 1 and a white for an instant. Hamato Ninpo deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. We've seen this in many forms. It is an instant. Your opponent is attacking you. They think you don't have it. You kill their attacker. Or you go to swing in on them. They do manage to block. Maybe they have a rather pesky blocker. Or they think they're about to chomp one of your tiny creatures. You just remove it. Very good, very consistent, and efficient removal. 4 is usually about the point in toughness where stuff becomes harder to remove. We've seen this a lot. 4 is usually where the hump starts in a mana curve. It becomes hard to deal with. So just 2 mana, kill something with 4 toughness. That's just great. Next, we have Triceraton Regenta. 2 and a white for a dinosaur noble creature, 2/3 with vigilance. And whenever this creature attacks, untap up to 1 other target creature. Just great, right? Pairs well with a number of creatures. You get a 2/3 vigilance. You're swinging in. You're getting to untap something else. Goes great in a vehicle deck. because you could use something to crew a vehicle and then attack with Regenta and your vehicle, and then you get to untap the thing you used to crew. Like, just very consistent. Basically gives another creature vigilance, but it still lets you tap it. You know, if it's a mana dork, awesome. Let me tap my mana dork for mana. I'm going to swing. I'm going to untap it. Next we have Splinter, Aging Champion, 2 and a white for a legendary mutant ninja rat. 2/2. With when Splinter enters, destroy up to one target tapped creature. Great. Removal. And when Splinter leaves the battlefield, you and another target player each draw a card. Can be consistent if you're doing sneak or ninjutsu stuff. Again, you can play the politics of it, where you get to help somebody and try and make deals with them as a result. If you're ninjutsuing this back to your hand, then you get card advantage. You're giving somebody else an advantage, but hopefully playing the politics of it, and then you get to bring it back and destroy something. Just a very good target for that ninjutsu or sneak ability. And finally, we have Leonardo, Worldly Warrior, 7 and a white for a 5/5 legendary mutant ninja turtle. So it's 8 mana, but it does cost 1 less to cast for each creature you control. So if you have enough creatures in play, this could be a 1 mana 5/5, and it has double strike. So pretty decent, hard-hitting creature on rate. And let's look at the final bit of the team-up box, as well as some more of the fancy basics in this set, because I really like basic land art. So this is the final creature. This is the other colorless one I was talking about. It is very cute. It's a cute little reference. Definitely not a turtle. 3 mana, 3/2, mutant ninja turtle creature that says, when this creature dies, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a land or legendary turtle card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Of course, making reference to the Ninja Turtles whenever they would dress up in their fedoras and trench coats. It's, oh, there's definitely not a turtle. Then we have, this is the non-full art basic land art. These are all in foil, of course. Then we have a mountain. We have the swamp, which is a sewer, which is a nice touch. Island. And plains. Then we have the full art pizza basics, or pizza lands. Again in foil. We have the forest. We did see the rooftop basics at the end of Sewer Cube Part 1, so if you want to check those out, definitely go check out Part 1 from a couple weeks ago. It's live on the YouTube now. I do love how they used the green mana symbol as broccoli on this pizza basic. It is very fun. We have the mountain, which makes use of a sauce splotch as the fire symbol on the mountain. We have the swamp, which of course I love that they have a mushroom as the skull for the mountain, or for the swamp rather. Next we have the island, which has a red onion as the water droplet of the island. Again, a very nice touch. And a plains, which does use what appears to be a banana slice, and I'm thinking it's garlic slices, it looks like. to make up the sun symbol of the plains. Could be plantain chips, possibly. But I think it's supposed to be banana and garlic. But yeah, I just like the pizza art. I like the pizza basics. I think they're cool. To quote Marge, I just think they're neat. All right. Let's have a look now at the boss decks. Well, first we're going to have a look at some promo art. The 4 different promo cards for the set. This is Unbreakable Formation. 2 and a white for an instant. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn, and has Addendum. So if you cast this during your main phase, you put a 1/1 counter on each of those creatures, and they gain vigilance until end of turn. So it can be a nice like protection from a board wipe, or you swing out and your opponents think they've blocked profitably only for your creatures to gain indestructible. Or if you do it main phase, then you get to buff your board and give them vigilance, swing out, they're indestructible, and they're larger. This is the first promo art. This was one of the cards given away at New York City Comic Con when they very first announced the set. Next we have Lightning Bolt. This is the second promo. I just love that they reprinted Lightning Bolt with the classic X-ray art from the Ninja Turtles video games. Lightning Bolt, it's a classic 1 red for an instant, deals 3 damage to any target. This is where you get the traditional Bolt the Bird. Next we have Spicy Oatmeal Pizza, 2 and a red, artifact food. This is, of course, one of the cards from the main set of Turtles, but this is the full art for it. 2 and a red, artifact food. When this enters, deals 4 damage to any target and 3 damage to you. You can pay 2, tap, and sacrifice this artifact to gain 3 life. I do love the flavor text there. Another one bites the crust. And then Courier of Comestibles. 1 and a green for a 1/2 human citizen creature. When this creature enters, you may search your library for a food card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. If you don't put a food card into your hand this way, you create a food token. Just consistent. No matter what, you're getting a food. Right? Maybe it's making you a token version, or it's getting you your spicy oatmeal pizza. Maybe it's getting you your pizza face, or your anchovy and banana pizza, or your, I forget what it is. It's anchovy something and banana guac. I don't remember. There's 3 different pizzas in the set that all have good utility, but there's a number of different foods as well that you could get with this. Also love the flavor text. Did I mention I study martial arts? Again, reference to Ernie Reyes Jr.'s character in TMNT 2 Secrets of the Ooze, which is celebrating its 35th anniversary, I believe, this year. They're re-showing it in theaters for its anniversary. So nice to see that reference on this full art promo. Shout out to one of my friendly local game stores for hosting events that had access to those promos. We always love a good FLGS supporting community. Alright, let's have a look at the Boss and Events decks. So this is the team up game variant where you and up to 3 other players team up together to take down the bosses. Usually how it starts is you'll reveal 1 boss on the first round. You'll reveal 2 bosses on the next round, 3 bosses on the round after that, and then 4 bosses on the round after that. Or maybe it plays over just 3 rounds, I forget exactly. But effectively, it does ramp up in difficulty as each of the bosses is going to have some sort of static effect that they will do. And you usually reveal cards for each boss in play, so it gets much more difficult the longer the game goes, and the longer you let bosses stay around, right? So first we have Slash the Dark Mirror. Attacking creatures the bosses control have first strike. Hate that. Rat King the Chaos Bringer, which says ninjas the bosses control have death touch. Hate that. Savanti Romero, Temporal Rogue. Oh, and for those wondering, the boss cards do have different backs, which are super nice. They don't have traditional magic card backs, so if you accidentally shuffle them in, you can tell pretty easily. Savanti Romero, Temporal Rogue, says whenever 1 or more ninjas the bosses control deal combat damage to the heroes, the bosses play a card, which means they get to reveal another card from their deck. We have Chrome Dome, Cyber Ninja. Ninjas the bosses control get +1/+0 for each boss in play. Great in round 1 because you'd only have 1 boss. However, it means those ninjas are hitting like a truck. However, late game, if you have 4 bosses in play, everything's +4/+0. Woof. Next, we have Baxter, Experimental Scientist. Creatures named Foot Disciple have flying, which is a specific kind of creature in the boss's deck. We have Krang, Dimension X Overlord. The bosses play an additional card each turn, and at the start of the boss's turn, the bosses lose 2 life. So they get an extra card, but it does hurt them. Next we have Leatherhead Sewer Gator. When this boss enters, the bosses gain 5 life for each boss in play. So it does heal them, which can be rather annoying, but it's not a static thing. It just, this enters and it does the thing, and then that's it. Next we have Karai Shadow Warrior. Whenever a creature the heroes control dies, the heroes lose 1 life. Not good. Don't like that. We have Rock Steady Rowdy Rhino next. Sorry, I don't know. I started to read that and my brain went, soup. Rocksteady Rowdy Rhino says, whenever the bosses attack, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature named Foot Disciple. Again, one of the creatures in the boss deck. Then we have Bebop Porcine Punk. Whenever this boss attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature named Foot Disciple. So if you have Bebop and Rocksteady, you're getting 2 +1/+1 counters on each Foot Disciple, which is the most common creature in the boss deck as well. Next we have Shredder Foot Clan Overlord. Whenever a creature the bosses control dies, the heroes lose 1 life. So, not good, because you want to remove their creatures, because their creatures are rather problematic. Let's have a look at what those creatures are, shall we? So the 3 different flavors of creature in the boss deck. Ow. There's the Foot Disciple. They're 3/3 ninja that can't block. So effectively, how this works is whenever you reveal creatures from the boss decks, they go into play. And then as soon as they're able, if the bosses can attack, they will attack with every creature they have. So these 3/3s can get out of control when you consider things like Bebop and Rocksteady, making them 5/5s every time they attack, or giving them flying with Baxter, or if they die, Shredder dealing 1 to the heroes. Yeah, it can be a big problem real quick. Then we have the Foot Skirmisher, which is a 2/1 with flying ninja creature that can't block. So they are not as powerful, but they are flying, so they're harder to block and deal with. And then you have the big ones, the Foot Enforcer, which are 6/3s that can't block. And this creature can't be blocked by more than one creature, so you can't chump block it. I mean, you could, but ideally you're spending one of your 3-power creatures to try and kill this thing in order to try and save you from losing quite a bit of your life. The other kinds of cards you will see in the boss deck, amongst a number of those event cards, which again, different back. So super nice if you accidentally shuffle the wrong cards in. They did think ahead. They made the event cards have different backs from the boss cards, so that if you accidentally shuffle the stacks together, you can easily tell what came from where. So these events are all going to be themed off of one of the 11 bosses. They come out, they do a thing, and then they're done. So event / smash, destroy all turtles. Hate that. Next we have Savanti Romero's Curse. Each hero returns X creatures they control to their owner's hands, where X is the number of bosses. So this could, in effect, board wipe you, but maybe not. Not super bad, because if you don't have any creatures to return, you don't return anything. Or if there's only, one boss in play, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe you return something that has a good ETB effect, like we saw in those team-up turtles. So, kind of could be helpful. Then we have Bebop's Rampage. Bebop's Rampage deals 2 damage to each creature the heroes control. It just does a Pyroclasm. Next we have Leatherhead Smackdown. As a team, the heroes choose a creature with the greatest power among creatures they control. Destroy it. The bosses lose life equal to that creature's power. So, as a team, because again, this is part of the co-op product, whoever has, if we have a tie for biggest creature, then we get to pick the one that we get rid of, but it does damage the bosses equal to the power of that creature. So, not an overall bad event to see. Next we have Rocksteady's Beatdown, which destroys all creatures with flying that the heroes control. So, if you were hoping to go in over the top, this one actually not that bad, all things considered, because none of the creatures in the boss deck can block. They're all those foot ninjas, so they can't block anyway, so it doesn't really matter if you have flying, because you're able to swing it unblocked no matter what. But it is annoying to lose flyers. Next we have Rat King's Revolution. Each hero taps a creature they control and puts X stun counters on it, where X is the number of bosses. Stun counters, of course, is if the thing with the stun counter on it would become untapped, you instead leave it tapped and remove a stun counter. So this could potentially lock something down for multiple turns. Then we have Karai's Planning. The heroes lose 3 life, and the bosses gain 3 life. It just does a lightning helix. Next we have Baxter's Experiments. Copy the next event the bosses play. This card can be really wild, because you reveal this, and then the next thing you do, it does twice. Right, because it's going to do it for this, and it's going to do it for itself. Which could be something like Return 2 ninja cards at random from the boss's graveyard to the battlefield under the boss team's control. Imagine you hit Baxter and then Shredder. You just get 4 ninjas back that maybe you just finished killing, and they just get them all right back. Next, we have Krang's Stratagem. As a team, the heroes discard a total of 2 cards. Not super bad overall, especially if you've got a player that has maybe a lot of lands in hand or is willing to fall on their sword. It is as a team, so if one player has a grip of cards, maybe they're willing to get rid of some, or one from 2 different players. Then we have Chrome Dome's Overload. Each hero sacrifices a tapped creature they control. And then we get into some of the special event cards. These aren't themed off of any villain necessarily, but they will have a few copies of each of these. So Villain Mayhem, as a team, the heroes choose 3 creatures they control, destroy each other creature the heroes control. So you pick 3 things that get to live, and that's it. Then we have Villain Infiltration. As a team, the heroes choose a creature with the greatest power among creatures they control, destroy it. So you just kill the strongest thing you have in play. And then this is the card that there is only one of in the deck. This is the cool thing about the Villains deck, is because this event and boss deck is fully automated to kind of play on its own. They give you the rules of how to go about shuffling and revealing the cards and how to do the life totals and all that. So you could play this game variant with the 60 card decks that came with the team up box, or you could use commander decks or whatever format of decks that you like. The cool thing is you can play fully cooperatively, you and up to 3 friends, against this thing. Nobody has to be the villains. You can all work together, and the deck will continue to play out itself without ever needing to really refer to the rules, because the villain scheme shuffle this card and the boss graveyard into the boss's library. So once you hit this card, you shuffle their discard into the event library, so you're never running out of cards in it. So it will just continue to play itself out, which is super nice and a really elegant design for it. So that is through the Team Up product. We've now seen all of the source material and secret layer and Team Up product cards. When we come back, we will be taking a look at the Commander product cards. These are all the mechanically unique cards from the Commander deck, as well as some of the reprints and stuff in the Commander deck, the pre-con. And we'll be having a look at the end at some fun alt art cards. So we are going to take a quick break while everybody gets a chance to hydrate, cycle your fluids, get up, stretch, walk around, take a break, take a chance, take a minute or two, not look at a screen, all those things. Practice self-care, practice safe gaming. We are going to take a brief break. We're going to switch up the playlist as well to listen to some we're going to have a listen to some Omega on Deck. Now, again, shout out and many thanks to Happy Boy Games for the channel theme that we've been listening to thus far. We will be taking a quick 5-10 minute break while y'all vibe to Omega on Deck, which again, shout out and thanks to Omega. We'll see you guys in just a few minutes, okay? Don't go away. I love you very much, and we'll see you very soon. All right. And we are back from the break. Hopefully everybody had a good break. You got something delicious to drink, maybe got up, cycled your fluids, all those things. Let's jump back into it, shall we? And have a look at some of the commander cards. So starting out, you'll see in again in the pinned message in chat or in the description on the YouTube, we have a couple different expansions that I've made. This is what is part of the command pack expansion. So if we were doing the draft cube as a commander draft, how this works is every player in each of the 4 players would automatically get a copy of these cards to run in their commander deck. These are just staple commander cards that you want in every commander deck. No matter whom you pick as your commander or what you're running in the deck, everybody gets a copy of these. Starting with Arcane Signet. 2 mana artifact, taps for 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. These, of course, are all the turtle artwork. Then we have Soul Ring, 1 mana artifact, taps for 2 colorless. It's in every commander deck. You know it, you love it, it's the classic. Then we have one of the new lands from the Commander Precon. Turtle Lair is a land that taps for colorless, or you can tap it, add 1 mana of any color, but you spend this only to cast a ninja or turtle spell. This is also part of the main set, but does come in the Commander Precon. You can also pay 3 and tap target ninja or turtle can't be blocked this turn. So just a good utility land for the turtle set. Then we have Command Tower. Again, classic staple land in Commander. Taps for a mana of any color in your commander's color identity. And finally, Path of Ancestry. It's a land that enters tapped, taps for 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity, and when that mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, you get to scry one. So, all 5 of these cards are part of the Command Pack expansion for the cube. So if you are doing a commander draft, everybody gets a copy of one of these cards, or one of each of these cards. So there's 4 copies of them. Of course, Turtle Lair, there's one in the cube itself. So how it's meant to work is whoever drafts the copy of Turtle Lair from the cube, they don't get a copy of Turtle Lair. They get the other 4, and the other 3 players get the 4 and a copy of Turtle Lair. Then moving into the Command Land expansion, let's just get the lands out of the way first, shall we? So these are all of the different lands that come with the Commander deck. All the non-basic lands, I should say. Up first we have Big Apple 3 AM, of course a reference to the first stage in the Turtles in Time video game. This is a land that enters tapped. As it enters, you choose a color, it taps for a mana of the chosen color, and you can pay 5 and tap to create a 1/1 black rat creature token for each opponent you have. So if you're in Commander, you're in a 4-player pod, let's say, you pay 5 mana, you make 3 1/1 rats. Pretty decent. Next we have some of the lands of the Thriving series. These basically all do the same thing but with slightly different colors. So we have Thriving Grove here is land enters tapped. As it enters, you choose a color other than green. This land taps for green or 1 mana of the chosen color. So it gets you some decent fixing. You could choose, if you're in a green-red deck, this will tap for your green and red mana. Next we have Thriving Isle, same thing, but blue. So enters tapped, you choose a color other than blue, this taps for blue and that color. And we have Thriving Moor, same thing, but in black. Enters tapped, you choose a color other than black, it'll tap for black and the chosen color. Or the chosen color, I should say. Next we have Ash Barrens, pretty decent fixer. It does enter untapped and taps for a colorless, or has basic land cycling for 1 mana. So you pay 1, you discard this card, you get to search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. So if you need a specific color, maybe you're in red-white, you only have mountains in play, you really need to get your plains, you pay 1, you go get the plains, you put it into play, there you go, colors fixed. Next we have Evolving Wilds, you know it, you love it. Land, you tap, sacrifice it, search your library for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Next we have Vibrant Cityscape, does exactly the same thing as Evolving Wilds. Just more consistency, right? You want to have multiples, especially in formats like Commander. If you're in a 3, 4, maybe even a 5 color deck, you want to have multiple ways to make sure you get the colors of mana that you need. Next we have Fabled Passage. It's a land you tap and sacrifice, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle, and then if you have 4 or more lands, you untap that land. So if this is your 4th land, you do get whatever land you need into play untapped, this counts as your land play for the turn, if you play it this turn and crack it. But say this has been in since a previous turn, you could crack it, go get your color you need, and then get your land play for turn. Next we have Hidden Hideout. This land enters tapped. Taps for 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. And you can pay 3, tap, target creature you control with a counter on it gains lifelink until end of turn. Again, very good in the commander format, especially if you're in a counters deck. This is just a must include in basically every commander deck that cares about counters, because giving your creature lifelink on a stick is just good. Next we have City of Brass, an oldie but a goodie, was long overdue for a reprint. It's a land that whenever this land becomes tapped, it deals 1 damage to you and taps for a mana of any color. It's just a good utility land. Next we have Grand Coliseum. This land enters tapped, taps for a colorless, or you can tap, add 1 mana of any color, and this land deals 1 damage to you. So again, kind of like City of Brass, except that you can tap it for the colorless and not take the damage. Next we have Exotic Orchard. It's a land that taps for 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. So again, very good in a 5-color deck because it could get you a number of your colors. Just generally a good utility in fixing your colors depending on what colors your opponent is playing, right? Granted, if your opponent's in blue and black and you're in green and blue, you know, this is effectively only going to get you blue. But still pretty good land, especially in Commander. Next we have Hinterland Harbor. This land enters tapped unless you control a forest or an island, and taps for blue or green. Then we have Rain-Slicked Copse. It's a land forest island, so note the Hinterland Harbor doesn't say basic forest or island. So as long as you have a forest or island, this will enter untapped. Rain-Slicked Copse has both of those types. This land does enter tapped, but you can also cycle it for 2. So late game, if you just are flooding out and you don't need the land, you can pay 2, discard this card to draw a card. Next we have Sodden Verdure, or Verdure. Again, land, forest, island. Taps for green or blue, just like the Rain-Slicked Copse. And this land enters tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. So, pretty good if you have enough basics, it'll enter untapped. Next we have Undergrowth Stadium. This is one of the bond lands. So it enters tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents. So much better in a format like Commander, where it is multiplayer. Taps for a black or a green. Then we have Vernal Fen, swamp forest land, taps for a black or a green. It enters tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. Next we have Cinderglade, mountain forest, enters tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. So it taps for a red or a green. We have Rootbound Crag. This land enters tapped unless you control a mountain or a forest. Taps for a red or a green. Spire Garden. Land enters tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents. So again, another one of those bond lands. Taps for a red or a green. Then we have Smoldering Marsh. It's a swamp mountain land, so it taps for black or red, and it enters tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. Next we have Dragon Skull Summit. It's a land, enters tapped unless you control a swamp or a mountain, and it taps for a black or a red. And finally, Sunken Hollow. This is an island swamp, so it taps for a blue or black, and it enters tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. So, pretty decent utility and fixing amongst the command land pack. So again, these are to come into play if you want more fixing in your draft format, or maybe you just want to have a little more versatility in your draft. You could also throw those in. or if you're drafting a commander deck. Let's move on to some of the creatures now. These are all going to be creatures from the Commander expansion for the cube. Up first, we have my favorite commander in the command deck. We have Heroes in a Half Shell. Full Wooburg, so white, blue, black, red, green, for a legendary mutant ninja turtle, 5/5 with vigilance, menace, trample, and haste, and says, whenever one or more mutants, ninjas, and or turtles you control deal combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on each of those creatures, and draw a card. So, again, if you are in a multiplayer format, you have, say you attack with 3 creatures, you send 1 at each opponent. Those creatures deal combat damage to a player. You put a 1/1 on them, and you draw a card. Now, if you're in a 1v1 format, you are going to put a 1/1 counter on each creature that dealt damage, combat damage, and draw a single card. But if you do attack 3 players, you get a 1/1 counter on each of those creatures, and you draw a card for each player you've hit. So it could draw you up to 3 cards if you're in 4-player. Next, we have the partner character select commanders. So there's 6 of these, each one themed around some of the main heroes. We have Leonardo the Balance, 3 and a white for a legendary mutant ninja turtle, 3/3 with whenever a token you control enters, you may put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Do this only once each turn. Also, for full Wooburg, so white, blue, black, red, green, creatures you control gain menace, trample, and lifelink until end of turn. And has partner character select, so you can have 2 commanders if both of them have this ability. So, in Commander, you could have Leonardo and, say, Donatello here, and each of them can be your commander. Or, if you're drafting Commander decks, maybe you have different color builds. The nice thing is the versatility of this deck means that you could have a lot of different builds. You don't strictly have to be in 5 color. So, Donatello the Brains here, 2 and a blue for a 2/4 legendary mutant ninja turtle. If 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus a mutagen token are created instead, and has partner character select. So, whenever you make a token, you also make a mutagen, which does help trigger Leonardo. Next, we have Splinter the Mentor, 1 and a black for a legendary mutant ninja rat, 2/2 with menace. And whenever Splinter or another non-token creature you control leaves the battlefield, create a mutagen token and partner character select. So again, it's making you more rectangles and helping trigger Leonardo, or maybe if you have Donatello and Splinter together, something you control leaves, you make a mutagen, Donatello's making a mutagen, so you're getting extra mutagen tokens. Next, we have Raphael the Muscle, one of my favorites of the partner character select. 4 and a red for a legendary mutant ninja turtle, 4/4 with double all damage that creatures you control with counters on them would deal. And when Raphael enters, create a mutagen token. And partner character select. So it's making you tokens and giving you double damage on all your stuff with counters. Next, we have Michelangelo the Heart, 1 and a green for a 2/1 legendary mutant ninja turtle with trample and raid the fridge. At the beginning of your second main phase, if you attacked this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and create a food token. This, I think, is probably, if you are just playing the commander deck out of the box, one of the best pairs with Leonardo, because you want to attack. Then Michelangelo's putting a 1/1 counter on that creature and making you a food token. That food token is triggering Leonardo, letting you put a +1/+1 counter on each of your creatures, and can get rather big rather quick. Also has partner character select. And then we have the final of the partner character select creatures. This is April O'Neil live on the scene. 1 and a blue for a 2/1 legendary human detective. Whenever a mutant, ninja, or turtle you control enters, investigate. So you create a clue token. Clues, of course, you pay to sacrifice the token and draw a card. It has partner character select. So again, pairs really well with Leonardo, as all of the partner character select creatures do. Next, we have Baxter Fly in the Ointment, 3 and a blue for a legendary insect mutant scientist 2/2. With whenever Baxter enters or attacks, each creature you control with a counter on it gains flying until end of turn. And whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on Baxter. Then we have Irma Part-Time Mutant, 2 and a blue for a legendary human mutant shapeshifter 1/1. With at the beginning of combat on your turn, Irma becomes a copy of up to one other target creature you control, except her name is Irma Part-Time Mutant, and she has this ability. Then put a 1/1 counter on her. So, again, you get double use out of your creatures, except because she's maintaining the same name, it's not proccing the legendary rule, and she gets bigger when that happens. So if you have, say, Leonardo the Balance, you could have Irma copy Leonardo the Balance so that you get the buff your whole board thing twice, whereas normally that effect says it happens only once a turn. If you have her copying Leo, then they each get to do it once a turn. It's very good. Next, we have Krang the All-Powerful, 4 and a blue for a 3/3 legendary artifact Utrom robot creature. If a player drawing a card causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Whenever a player draws their second card each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Krang. So I think this card is kind of slept on, because this first ability helps this second ability. So if your opponent is drawing a second card on their turn, he's actually getting 2 +1/+1 counters. Because this says if a player drawing a card causes a triggered ability, it triggers an additional time. This has to do with a player drawing their second card or drawing a card. So it's going to trigger that twice. So you've got a 5-mana 5/5 the first time an opponent draws their second card. Or say you have Baxter, right? Where is he? There we go. Baxter says whenever you draw a card, put a 1/1 counter on Baxter. This says player draws a card, it triggers an additional time. So Baxter gets 2 1/1 counters. So pretty decent utility there. Next we have Ray Fillet Wave Warrior, 2 and a blue for a legendary fish mutant creature, 0/2 with flying and evolved. So whenever a creature you control enters, if that creature has greater power or toughness than this creature, he gets a 1/1 counter. And whenever a creature you control with a counter on it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So enters as a 0/2, but then you play another thing, it's going to get a counter. He can trigger himself drawing cards because he has counters. But if any of your things have counters, each one that hits is going to draw you a card. This thing can draw you a lot of cards. Next we have Shredder Shadow Master, 3 black for a legendary human ninja 5/5 that says whenever Shredder attacks a player, for each other opponent, create a token that's a copy of Shredder tapped and attacking that player, except it isn't legendary, and you sacrifice those tokens at end of combat. Whenever Shredder deals combat damage to a player, that player loses half their life rounded up. So it's kind of like Myriad, right? Myriad is an ability that says on combat, you create a copy of this creature for each opponent that this creature isn't attacking. This does similar to that, except this has the added proviso of those copies not being legendary, which is nice. And then the fact that you hit for 5 damage and they're losing half their life rounded up. So You do this enough times, it will just kill opponents. Next, we have Dimension X Pizzasaur, 3 and a black for an artifact food alien mutant, 2/1, with when this creature enters, put 2+1/+1 counters on target creature. When you do, destroy up to 1 target creature with mana value less than or equal to the number of counters among permanents you control. If you have a bunch of things with counters, this could just insta-kill any problem on the board. Also, because it's a food, it has the food text of pay 2, tap, sacrifice this creature, you gain 3 life. But also adds, and each opponent loses 3 life. So you get a nice little drain on the table. Next we have Bebop, Skull and Crossbones, 1 and a black for a legendary boar mutant, 2/1, partners with Rocksteady Mutant Marauder. So when this creature enters, target player may put Rocksteady into their hand from their library, then shuffle. So Bebop can go and get Rocksteady, or vice versa, because Rocksteady, as we will see momentarily, has this same text. He partners with Bebop, Skull and Crossbones. Also, Bebop here has Death Touch, and whenever Bebop deals combat damage to a player, you may draw X cards, where X is the number of counters on Bebop. If you do, lose X life. So, you can, you put 1 or 2 counters on this thing, you get to draw a couple cards, you lose a little bit of life. You could progressively make this larger and draw you more cards, but at the cost of more life. But a 2 mana 2/1 Death Touch, probably getting in pretty consistently, even without the counters, because a lot of people are not going to be inclined to want to block a Death Touch creature unless maybe they have some tokens they can throw under the bus. Next we have Rat King Pale Piper, 3 and a black for a 3/3 legendary rat avatar with menace. Whenever Rat King or another non-token creature you control leaves the battlefield, create a 1/1 black rat creature token. So, things leave, you're making 1/1 black rats, which is triggering Leonardo. Pretty nice synergy there. Also, you can pay 2, tap and sack, or not even tap, you just pay 2, sack a token, draw a card. So maybe if you have a lot of useless tokens and plenty of mana, you could turn those tokens into card draw. That's for the first half of creatures. Let's have a look at the second half. Moving on into the red color. We have Tempestra, Dame of Games, 1 and a red for a legendary elemental illusion, 1/3 with pay 2 red, tap, and sacrifice an artifact. Create a token that's a copy of another target creature you control, except it isn't legendary. It gains haste, and you sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So, maybe you've made a food token, or you sacrifice a mutagen token, or any kind of artifact that maybe you have just sitting around. You get to copy something. It makes it non-legendary and gives it haste, so it can be used immediately. Pretty nice utility there. Kind of does a little bit of like a Kiki-Jiki thing as well, except that this can target legendaries. It doesn't have to be a non-legendary. Next, we have Taka and Razar unsupervised. 2 and a red for a legendary Turtle Wolf Mutant, 3/3 with first strike. Whenever another non-token creature you control leaves the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on Taka and Razar, and create a treasure token. This ability triggers only once each turn, so that doesn't get out of hand. But you got stuff leaving the battlefield, you're getting 1/1 counters on them, you're making treasure, it's helping ramp you. You have a 3/3 first strike for 3 that's just pretty good on rate. Just pretty decent creature. Next, we have Casey Jones, Back Alley Brute. I really had hoped that Casey would also have partner character select. It would have been kind of cool. I know why they didn't, because if you pair him with Leonardo, it's kind of busted. But still, 3 and a red for a 4/2 legendary human berserker with menace. Whenever Casey Jones attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature, and Whenever you put one or more +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, Casey Jones deals that much damage to target opponent. So the reason why he doesn't have partner character select is if you do partner him with Leonardo, you make a token, Leonardo's putting a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Every single one of those counters is doing 1 damage to target opponent. It could get out of hand very quickly. Kind of has that all will be one effect. Next, we have Electric Seaweed, the bane of every OG NES TMNT gamer's existence, because we all remember the dam level, and I don't mean the dam level, we mean the level where you had to disarm bombs and you dove off this like hydro dam underwater, had to disarm bombs, and if you touched this Electric Seaweed, it insta-killed the character that you were playing as. Absolute nightmare. One of the toughest games of all time, especially because of this Electric Seaweed. But Electric Seaweed here, it's 2 red for a plant wall creature, 0/4 with Defender and Haste. Why does a Defender need Haste? Well, whenever this creature enters, until end of turn, whenever another creature dies, this creature deals 1 damage to each non-wall creature. You can also tap this creature, deals 1 damage to any target. So this kind of has a Massacre Girl effect built in, where you can tap it, maybe your opponent has a 1/1, you deal 1 damage to it, that's a creature dying, so you deal 1 damage to that 1/1, that's a creature that dies. It's going to deal 1 damage to each non-wall creature. Maybe there's some other 1/1s, it's going to kill all of them. For each of those creatures dying, it's going to proc this again. And then that's going to kill all the 2 toughness, and then all the 3 toughness, and then all the 4 toughness. Basically, it becomes an asymmetrical board wipe, where every creature is going to eventually die except the Electric Seaweed. So, kind of a board wipe in a body. Next, we have Rocksteady Mutant Marauder. Of course, we saw Bebop moments ago. 2 and a green for a legendary Rhino Mutant. 3/3 with partner with Bebop Skull and Crossbones. So when Rocksteady enters, you can go search up Bebop and put it in your hand. It has Trample, and whenever another non-token creature you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. So this fuels Bebop's ability to draw you cards equal to the number of counters he has. The nice thing is, it doesn't have to be on Bebop. You could also put the 1/1 counters on this creature, because he is a trampler. So if you're just pooping out creatures, maybe you're playing a bunch of non-token creature stuff, you're just getting 1/1 counters on your board. It's just great. Next, we have Leatherhead Iron Gator. Remember, again, we talked about this in part 1. A lot of people were confused because Leatherhead traditionally was a male character originally in the TMNT mythos, but as of the Mutant Mayhem movie, the most recent film that came out, they did make Leatherhead a female character, which is just kind of nice. See more female representation in the Turtles. There's not a lot of female characters there, to choose from, so it's good to see more representation across genders. So Leatherhead Iron Gator here, 5 green for a legendary Crocodile Mutant Rogue creature, 5/5 with Trample and Haste, and whenever Leatherhead attacks, put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. So this could end the game on the spot, right? Comes in, 7 mana, 5/5, Trample Haste, comes in, swings immediately. It is going to put the 2 1/1 counters on itself, so really it's a 7 mana 7/7 Trample Haste. That's also boosting your whole board by 2 power and toughness. So this could potentially just overrun the entire table. Next we have Aggro Amalgam, X green, For a 0/1 Hydra, this is a reprint of Voracious Hydra. This Hydra creature has Trample, and it enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. So whatever you make the mana value of X, it's entering with that many 1/1 counters. When this creature enters, you choose 1. Double the number of +1/+1 counters on this creature, or this creature fights target creature you don't control. So you could get removal. You know, maybe you're paying a total of 5 mana. It enters with 3 +1/+1 counters. You're getting a 3/4 that gets to fight something. Maybe you need to remove a problematic creature. Or you're paying 5 mana, so X equals 3 in this case. It's going to enter with 3 +1/+1 counters, but then you can double it. So it would be a 6/7. Insert Gen Alpha meme here. But Voracious Hydra, love to see it. Again, always fun to see Hydras getting reprinted, especially in other fun ways. Next, we have Heralds of the Shredder. 3 green for a 6/6 Elemental Incarnation. This is a reprint of Vigor, which is wild that we just reprinted Vigor in a precon. The creature does have Trample, and if damage would be dealt to another creature you control, prevent that damage and put a 1/1 counter on that creature for each 1 damage prevented this way. Effectively, it reads, your opponents can no longer block your creatures, because if they do, they won't die and instead are just going to get bigger. Also, when Heralds of the Shredder is put into a graveyard from anywhere, shuffle it into its owner's library. So, this basically is built-in mill protection, or even if they do remove it, it's just going to shuffle back in and can come out again later. Next, we have Slash Clone, which is a reprint of Steelbane Hydra. X green for a 0/0 Turtle Hydra. This creature enters with X +1/+1 counters on it, and you can pay 2 and a green, remove a +1/+1 counter from this creature, destroy target artifact or enchantment. You just love to see artifact and enchantment removal on a stick. You know, a lot of people think that cards like Rhystic Study should be banned in Commander. To those players, I say, just play more green, man. If you just play green, Rhystic Study isn't a problem. You play green, you run some artifact and enchantment removal, especially enchantment removal for your Rhystic Studies. Or maybe your opponent is in a stack, they're playing Ghostly Prisons and Propagandas. Just run more artifact and enchantment removal. Like, it's a pretty easy fix. Like, you could, in theory, pay 3 mana. Okay? So X equals 1. You pay 1 green. Comes in as a 1/1. You pay another 3 mana. You remove that 1/1 counter. It blows up your Slash Clone, but you blow up their Rhystic Study. Problem solved. Very easy fix to a very simple problem. Next up, we have Biogenic Ooze. 3 green for a 2/2 Ooze that says when this creature enters, create a 2/2 green Ooze creature token. And at the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each Ooze you control. So it counts itself and the 2/2 you made. Also, you can pay 1 green and create a 2/2 green Ooze creature token. So this is going to happen on each of your end steps. So you can continue to make these Ooze tokens, and it is going to continue to make them all larger. Next, we have Marauding Mutagen, which is, of course, Mutagen Man, but is a reprint of Acidic Slime. 3 green for a 2/2 Ooze, so again, would be boosted by that last card we just saw. Has Death Touch, and when this creature enters, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or land. Again, is your opponent playing Caged Sun, Are they playing Rhystic Study? Are they playing Field of the Dead? Just run more removal. It's an easy fix. A lot of people complain about cards like Rhystic Study because they don't play enough removal. Next we have Humongous Fungus, which is a reprint of Corpsejack Menace. 2 black-green for a 4/4 creature fungus. If one or more +1/+1 counters would be put on a creature you control, twice that many +1/+1 counters are put on it instead. So similar to Doubling Season, which we saw earlier, except this is only doing the 1/1 counters. It's not going to double the tokens, but this is more of a +1/+1 counter deck strategy than it is a token deck strategy. Yes, there is token built in there, and yes, Doubling Season would be a much easier swap for this. But if you just care more about the +1/+1 counters, this is a very nice include. Next, we have Roadkill Rodney. 2 mana for a 2/1 artifact robot creature with Squad 3. So as an additional cost to cast this spell, you may pay 3 mana any number of times when this creature enters. Create that many tokens that are copies of it. So you could have a board in a box if you have enough mana. It is a 2 mana creature, 2/1 with Death Touch. And whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, create a mutagen token. This creature I used to pretty decent effect the last time I played the Commander deck, because you just get to keep swinging in with this 2/1. Your opponents do not want to block because they're going to lose whatever they block with. You're making mutagen tokens that you can then use with Leonardo to buff your board, or you can drop on your Roadkill Rodney. Even if you're not making copies of it, just a 2 mana 2/1 Death Touch is just a great creature. It blocks anything really well, pretty much. It's attacking very profitably. Great creature. Next we have Big Mother Mouser. Big Mama here is a 4 mana for a 0/0 artifact creature robot. This creature enters with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. So, off the bat, doesn't look great, but, so you're paying 4 mana for a 2/2. But, whenever this creature attacks, you double the number of +1/+1 counters on it. So, it enters as a 2/2, but the first time you attack, it becomes a 4 mana 4/4, right? And, whenever this creature dies, you create a number of 1/1 colorless robot artifact creature tokens equal to the number of +1/+1 counters on this creature. I easily got this thing up to like a 32/32. Now, my opponent was taking the damage, and they weren't able to kill this. They ended up just killing me before I could kill this to get that many 1/1 robots. But you're still attacking with a progressively larger creature every time. So either they're taking a bunch of damage, or you're hopefully getting a bunch of robots out of it. Now, the secret sauce tech is you actually use some of your spot removal, maybe even your acidic slime, and you blow up your own Big Mother Mouser after it's got a bunch of counters, so that you just, boom, explode a board out of nowhere. And next we have the kind of a creature, but kind of not. Mole Module here is a 5 mana artifact vehicle, 6/6 with Menace. And whenever this vehicle deals combat damage to a player, you mill 4 cards, and you may put a permanent card from among them onto the battlefield. So, and it crews for 2. So, 5 mana 6/6 with Menace. Pretty decent. Crews for 2. Doesn't take a very big creature to crew it. Swings in, you hit him for 6, you mill 4, you get any permanent that you just milled into play. That's pretty great, especially with some of the big mana cost things we've seen in this deck. Imagine getting a free acidic slime off of hitting with a 6 power creature. That's pretty great. Alright, that's it for our creatures from the Command expansion. Let's have a look at the artifacts, enchantments, and non-permanent cards. So up first here, we have Foot Chopper. 1 and a black for an artifact equipment. When this equipment enters, create a 1/1 black ninja creature token, then attach this equipment to it. Equipped creature has flying, and whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice it. If you do, draw cards equal to its power. Also equips for 2. So, I mean, it's a 2-mana 1/1 with flying that you can hit your opponent with, sack the creature off, and draw a card. Pretty great. But you could put it on something bigger. Maybe you throw this on your Big Mother Mouser. You swing with Big Mama Mouser. She's doubling the counters. You sack her. You draw a bunch of cards. You make a bunch of robots. Could be a very good interaction. Next, we have the classic Mana Fixer Chromatic Lantern. 3-mana artifact, says lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color, and this taps for 1 to add 1 mana of any color. It's just good fixing. It's God's perfect fixing. I know a lot of people have become medium on this. I know Josh Lee Kwai of the Command Zone used to praise this card a lot. Now they've said, oh, it's just off rate for what it does. But I think this is, as a player who has 7 or 8 5-color decks, this is like my favorite mana fix in every 5-color deck. Next we have Exploding Barrel. 3-mana artifact, tap, add 1 mana of any color, and you put a pressure counter on this artifact. That's a new type of counter that we're seeing for the first time. Also, you can pay 8, sacrifice this artifact, and it deals 20 damage to target creature. This ability does cost 1 list to activate for each pressure counter on this artifact, but you activate only as a sorcery. So you pay 3, it becomes a 5-color mana rock that is progressively making this almost certainly removal spell cost less and less, right down to being free at a certain point. Next we have Coin of Mastery, 4-mana artifact. Each creature you control enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it for each mana from an artifact source spent to cast it. So all of those mana rocks we've seen, your Chromatic Lantern, your Exploding Barrel, treasures, anything like that, are going to add progressively more +1/+1 counters on your creatures that you're casting. Also, you can tap to create a treasure token. I love it because Coin of Mastery shows these golden coins, right? They're arcade tokens. It's making treasure tokens. Some people have said it would have been better if it made gold tokens, but gold is an even more broken version of treasure because it doesn't have to tap. You can just sacrifice it. So it is understandable why they went treasure and not gold. But still, I love the flavor of this. Next we have Arcade Cabinet, 3-mana artifact. When this artifact enters, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 4 target creatures. And you can pay to tap, sacrifice a token to double the number of counters on target creature. So again, you're sacrificing a token. You put a token in the Arcade Cabinet. It's doubling, right? You see the synergy there. I love the flavor of this card. Next, we have Endless Foot Assault, 2 and a white for an enchantment with Squad, 1 and a white. So as an additional cost to cast this spell, you may pay 1 and a white any number of times. When this enchantment enters, you create that many tokens that are copies of it. So you can create multiple of these. But even just at its base, 3 mana, whenever you attack, for each opponent, you create a 1/1 black ninja creature token that's tapped and attacking that player. So, if I pay 3 mana, I move to combat, I attack each player, I'm also making a 1/1 black ninja that's attacking them. If I pay 5 mana, I'm making 2 1/1 ninjas for each of my opponents. If I'm paying 7 mana, I'm making 3 1/1 ninjas. Now, you put this with any kind of token doubler, like a doubling season, and it gets even further out of hand. Plus, if you already have doubling season in play, I could pay 5 mana, And I'm going to make 2 copies of this because of doubling season, because it is making token copies. So this card, very wild. It can really build you a board. Notice it doesn't say you have to sacrifice those at the end. You just get to keep the ninja tokens. They come in tapped and attacking, and they just stay. Next, we have Together Forever. White for an enchantment. When this enchantment enters, support 2. So you get to put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. And you can pay 1, choose target creature with a counter on it. When that creature dies this turn, return that card to its owner's hand. So just good protection. Comes in, you plop a 1/1 counter on 2 creatures that you want to make sure don't die. Leave open some mana. Maybe you send them into the red zone. If your opponents are going to try and kill them, you can always pop them back to your hand after they die. Maybe you're expecting a board wipe to come and you want to be able to keep those creatures around. You could return them to your hand after they would die. Just good use and versatility out of this card. Next, we have Ninja Pizza. 2 and a green for an enchantment. Says foods you control have tapped, sacrifice this artifact, add a mana of any color. All your foods become treasures. Pure and simple. This card is great. Also, at the beginning of your second main phase, you create a food token. So, you play this in your first main, 3 mana, it's refunding one of those mana because it is going to make a food token that you could instantly tap and sacrifice to add a mana. So, just good use and versatility in this card. Makes your foods become extra useful because then they could be used to gain life or they could be used as mana. I really like Ninja Pizza. Next we have High Score, which is, for all intents and purposes, another Hardened Scales, but at more mana. High Score is 2 and a green for an enchantment. Says if 1 or more +1/+1 counters would be put on a creature you control, that many +1/+1 counters are put on it instead. So that's the same text we've seen on Hardened Scales, but also has at the beginning of your end step, draw a card if you control a creature with the greatest power among creatures on the battlefield. Now, if you're doing a lot of 1/1 counter stuff, it's relatively easy to wind up with the largest creature in play. So it's getting you card draw, it's card advantage, it's giving you more counters, especially if you have like Corpsejack Menace or Doubling Season, you're getting twice the number of counters. It's just, this is a very good utility card, just like Hardened Scales. Next we have Level Up. 1 and a green for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. When this aura enters, put a 1/1 counter on enchanted creature. And enchanted creature has, whenever this creature attacks, double the number of +1/+1 counters on it. Then if it has power 10 or greater, draw a card. Again, you put this on something like Big Mother Mouser. Big Mother Mouser entering with 2 1/1 counters. This puts a 1/1 counter on it. That makes it a 3/3 the first time it attacks. It doubles the counters to 6. And then it doubles again to 12, which draws you a card. So Big Mother Mouser and Level Up here, best friends, match made in heaven. You're making a 4 mana, well, 6 total, 6 mana 12/12 that draws you a card, and if it dies, you're making 12 robots. Wild. Next, we have Continue. 1 and a white for an instant. Choose up to 4 target creature cards in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn. Return them to the battlefield. This is just better Brought Back. We've seen Brought Back before. It's another instant, except Brought Back costs white and only does 2 target creatures that were put in the graveyard this turn. This will get you up to 4. I love the flavor of it because there's 4 of the brother turtles. So say you've got all 4 of your turtles out, your opponent board wipes, they kill your whole board. You can go get all 4 of your turtles back right into play. It's as though it never happened for only 2 mana, and one of those can be colorless, so it's not as color intensive as Brought Back, and it gets you twice as many creatures. Continue is just the strictly better brought back. Next up, we have Swift Demise, 2 and a black for an instant. Swift Demise deals 1 damage to target creature, then destroy each creature you don't control that was dealt damage this turn. So, you get to ping something for 1 and destroy it. But if you do this post-combat, or maybe on your opponent's combat, you block some things, you chump block with a bunch of 1/1s on their big stuff, you play Swift Demise, it's going to destroy all their creatures that were dealt damage, that you chump blocked. Just a nice little gotcha removal. Next we have Special Move, 2 and a red for an instant. Choose 2, Jump Kick, destroy target artifact. Dash Attack, put 2 +1/+1 counters on target attacking or blocking creature you control. And Foot Toss, target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to any other target, then sacrifice it. So you get to pick 2 of those modes. Maybe you need to hard remove an artifact. Maybe you need to buff one of your attackers or blockers to stop them from dying. Maybe you just need removal. You want something to fling anyway. You do this to your Big Mother Mouser, right? You're going to have it deal damage equal to its power. You sacrifice it. You make a bunch of robots. There's a lot of use that can happen there. Next, we have Shell Shock. X and a red for an instant. For each opponent, choose up to 1 target creature that player controls. Shell Shock deals X damage to each of those creatures. You create a mutagen token for each creature dealt damage this way. So, you pay 3 mana total, right? X equaling 2. You get a shock on... For each opponent, you choose up to 1 target creature, right? So in 4-player, you get 3 targets, you get 2 damage to each of them, and you get to make 3 mutagen tokens. Maybe, you know, this can scale as you need. If, again, say you've got Electric Seaweed, you Shell Shock for 1, you get to ping a bunch of 1/1s. That's going to trigger your Electric Seaweed. That's going to board wipe. You're going to make a bunch of mutagen tokens. Yeah. Shell Shock is just a really nice spot removal for opponents' creatures, with an upside for you. Next, we have a classic removal spell, Assassin's Trophy. Black and a green for an instant. Destroy target permanent and opponent controls. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. This can hit a land. Again, is your opponent playing Rhystic Study? Blow up their Rhystic Study. They can get a land. That's fine. Are they playing Field of the Dead? Blow up their Field of the Dead. They can get a basic in its place. Assassin's Trophy, just really good premium removal in Magic. Next, we have the first new fuse card in many, many years. We have Double Jump and Flying Kick. So this is 2 separate spells that you can choose which one to cast, but because it has fuse, you can cast both if you pay the cost for both. So Double Jump is an instant that costs 1 and a blue, says put a flying counter on target creature you control. Until end of turn, it has base power and toughness 5/5. Flying Kick is 1 and a red for an instant that says target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature and opponent controls. So if you do the fuse, you put a flying counter on something, it becomes a 5/5 till end of turn with Double Jump. And then you get to deal 5 damage. Well, it's target creature, so it doesn't have to be the one you made the 5/5, but the implied flavor is that you make something a 5/5 flyer, it's then going to deal damage equal to its power to a creature an opponent controls. So 4 mana, you get a flying 5/5 that's going to kill something, presumably. Next, we have Vanquish the Horde, classic board wipe in white. 6 white for a sorcery. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield, not just your battlefield, just in general. Destroy all creatures. So this could cost as little as white, and very often does. Like, as long as there is 6 creatures in play, this is a board wipe for 2 white mana. Next, we have Wave Goodbye, 2 blue for a sorcery. Return each creature without a +1/+1 counter on it to its owner's hand. Nice little asymmetric board wipe. If you are in a counters deck and none of your opponents are, this basically acts like a Cyclonic Rift for 4 mana. You just pop back everything that doesn't have 1/1 counters. Your whole board has counters. You send them in, you kill your opponents. Next, we have Here Comes a New Hero. X, 2, and a blue for a sorcery. Target player draws X cards. Create a token that's a copy of up to 1 target creature with mana value X or less. So it's 3 mana at its base, right? If you pay 3 mana, you draw 0 cards, and you make a token copy of a 0 mana creature. So maybe a token. If you pay 1, you draw a card, you copy a 1-drop, right? So that's 4 mana total. For 5 mana, you're copying a 2-drop, drawing 2 cards. For 6 mana, 3-drop, draw 3, right? It's got a lot of neat versatility to it. Note that it is up to 1 target creature, so it could copy an opponent's creature, which is kind of nice. If your opponent has a problematic thing and you really want a copy of that problematic thing, great way to make your own. Next, we have Game Over, 3 black for a sorcery. This spell costs 2 less to cast if a player's life total is less than or equal to half their starting life total. Destroy all creatures. So, 5 mana, black board wipe. You don't see that very often. But if any player that includes you is at half or less, this is a 3 mana black board wipe. That's just great. Next, we have Fast Forward, 4 and a red for a sorcery. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each opponent you attacked this turn. So if you attack all 3 opponents, it costs 3 less, so it's only 2 mana. It says goad all creatures your opponents control. So goading is until your next turn, all those creatures have to attack each combat if able, and attack a player other than you if able. So again, kind of can act like a board wipe. You are forcing your opponents into combat when maybe they didn't want to. Maybe they're trying to hold up blockers or be defensive. It doesn't say you have to have dealt damage with your creatures. So say you have the Endless Foot Assault, you make those 3 1/1s that are tapped and attacking each opponent. That's each opponent has been attacked. This now costs 2 mana. I goad all my opponent's creatures. They have to attack someone that isn't me. And then I get to swing in fully unblocked pretty much, because all their stuff would be tapped. Next, we have Blasphemous Act, 8 in red for a sorcery, costs 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield, just like Vanquish the Horde, but in red. Blasphemous Act deals 13 damage to each creature. Now, I do like this slightly better than Vanquish the Horde, because Vanquish the Horde does just destroy all creatures. This 13 damage to each creature, it is going to kill most things, but because you would potentially be in a 1/1 counter deck, you likely could have creatures much larger than 13. So this would kill a lot of the small stuff and leave you your big creatures. And again, if there's 8 creatures in play, this costs a single red mana. Next, we have Cultivate, classic ramp. You know it, you love it. 2 and a green. For a sorcery, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal those cards, put 1 onto the battlefield, tap the other into your hand, and shuffle. You see this played all the time in green commander decks. You go get your 2 colors you need, you put 1 into play tapped, the other you use as your land drop for turn. Next we have Harmonize, 2 green green for a sorcery, draw 3 cards. Just good green card draw. Weird that this card has now been power crept in the Turtles main set, as we have Lessons from Life, which is 2 green blue, draws 3 cards, but you also can put a land into play. So it's just kind of better Harmonized, but you have to be in blue as well. And finally, we have Super Combo. 1 and a green for a sorcery with Replicate 2. So when you cast this spell, you copy it for each time you paid its replicate cost. You may choose new targets for the copies. It says target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. So for 2 mana, I get a bite spell. I get to punch something, right? For 4 mana, I get to do it twice. For 6 mana, I get to do it 3 times. The cool thing about this is, say you have like Roadkill Rodney or Bebop Skull and Crossbones, one of your Death Touch creatures, because it is them dealing the damage. If you use it on a Death Touch creature, it will just kill whatever it punches, no matter how big it is, which is kind of sweet. And I love because it's the combo, you can just continue to pay the cost and do it that many times. And because you get to choose new targets, the nice thing is, you know, does your opponent have 5 creatures? You could pay 10 mana and fight, well, punch all 5 of their creatures. Again, if you're using it with a Death Touch creature, you are going to kill all 5 of those things. And that's it for the Command expansion. We are almost done here, y'all. We're going to have a look at some of the fun alt art cards now. So first up, we are going to have a look at, let's see, there's 7 of the 10 showcase alternate arts. These are all by Japanese artists. They are super dope artwork. I have the other 3 on the way. I thought they would make it in time for the podcast today. They unfortunately did not. But you can always look up the art for the cards. They are also in the deck list on Archidect, so you can also check them out there. That is the Super Shredder, Krang Utram Warlord, and Dark Leo and Shredder. They're bonus alternate arts. They are in the subsection. Let me pop these on here so you have something pretty to look at. While I remember, if you look at the Archidect page, they are going to be in the section marked Showcase Expansion. That's where all of those cards are listed. So if you're curious what they look like, you can look them up on the Archidect page or through Wizards' official card list if you look up the Showcase arts or what have you. In any case, these are all cards from the main set. They just have new alternate art, again, all by Japanese artists. So here's Turtles in Time, 5 blue for a sorcery. Return all creatures to their owner's hands. Each player may shuffle their hand and graveyard into their library. Then each player who does draws 7 cards. And you exile Turtles in Time. So again, it's Time Twister, except it's a May. You are also getting effectively a board wipe. So you are returning all creatures to their owner's hands. So maybe they don't want to shuffle in. Maybe you didn't have any creatures in play. You do this. You get to get them effectively, right? Because you could draw a fresh 7. Just really cool reset card. And again, has them all in their various outfits for the Turtles in Time. Speaking of, that reminds me, I just noticed, I thought the Turtles in Time had Sneak. It does not. I just noticed that. All this time, I could have sworn Turtles in Time had a sneak cost. Anywho, next we are going to have a look at our 4 turtles. We have Leonardo Cutting Edge 1 and a white for a legendary Mutant Ninja Turtle 1/1 with Sneak for a single white. So again, you return an unblocked attacking creature to your hand, and then you can swap this in its place, tapped and attacking. Has lifelink, and whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Leonardo. It's effectively in a Johnny's Pride meat. Now, these are the rare versions of the turtles, right? The ones at the rarity. But you'll notice the symbols are all mythic colored. That's because I can only assume they shifted them up to mythic for this art version because these are the showcase versions of them. That's the only reasoning I can come up with. But these are the rare turtles, even though it says mythic. Next, we have Raphael the Night Watcher, 2 red for a legendary Mutant Ninja Turtle, 2/3 with Sneak, 1 red. Attacking creatures you control have double strike. Love that card. Love that art. Next, we have possibly my favorite art in the set, Michelangelo Weirdness to 11, 1 and a green for a legendary Mutant Ninja Turtle 1/1 with when Michelangelo enters, create a mutagen token, and if 1 or more +1/+1 counters would be put on a creature you control, that many +1/+1 counters are put on it instead. Just love the super cute chibi turtles. Oh, somebody did mention the other day, they were like, why is there a Power Ranger Ninja Turtle? This is actually a fun reference to the Ninja Turtles' foray into the Japanese market. They had these superhero turtles. There was like 2 or 3 OVA Ninja Turtle movies that came out in the 90s, where basically the turtles had an extra mutation. They could effectively turn into Super Sentai or Power Rangers. It was kind of a weird era. They did make toys for it. The movies never came to America. It was a Japanese creation, and it was cool to see that they got the reference for the hero turtles in Magic. But yeah, I think this Michelangelo, probably my favorite art in the set. Love the chibi turtles. Next, we have Donatello Gadget Master, 2 and a blue for a legendary Mutant Ninja Turtle, 3/2 with Sneak for 1 and a blue. Whenever Donatello deals combat damage to a player, create a token that's a copy of target artifact you control. This, of course, is the Mecha Donatello. I think this might also be a reference to the superhero turtles from Japan. I think they might have had a big, like, Megazord or Mecha. I don't know 100%. Because I've never seen the OVAs. I just know that they exist. But this is also somewhat reminiscent to the recent TMNT Cross Godzilla comic miniseries that came out, where Bebop, Rocksteady, and some of the turtles all got mutated into giant kaiju to fight with Godzilla, or against, and Donatello built a giant mech to fight instead of getting mutated. Next, we have Casey Jones Vigilante, 1 red for a legendary human berserker, 4/3 with when Casey Jones enters, draw 3 cards. At the beginning of your next upkeep, discard 3 cards at random. Again, I don't know why a lot of people have been super medium on this card. It's a 3 mana draw 3 on a 4/3 body. If you have the mana to play the things you drew, great. You don't discard anything. You just got card advantage in red, like actual honest to God card advantage in red on a 4/3 body for 3 mana. That's just great. And finally, we have April O'Neil Hacktivist. 3 and a blue for a 1/5 legendary human scientist with, at the beginning of your end step, draw a card for each card type among spells you've cast this turn. This can draw you a lot of cards. Think about it. It's looking at the super types. So if you are playing a land creature like a Arbor Dryad, Dryad Arbor, that's what I'm thinking of. It's a land creature. That's 2 card types. You play an artifact creature. That is both an artifact and a creature. You play a, let's see here, beginning of end step, draw a card for each card type among spells. Enchantment creatures, same thing. Yeah, if you're playing multi-type stuff, this can draw you a lot of cards very quickly. And it's on your end step, so you're refilling your hand after you've cast all those things, potentially letting you cast even more on your next turn. So, and a 1/5 for 4 mana, this thing blocks like very well. There's a phrase we use commonly in Magic: this creature got ass for days. This is a 1/5. It just blocks really well. That's it for the showcase cards. Again, there is the Super Shredder, the Krang Utrom Warlord, and the Dark Leo and Shredder as part of this, but they didn't show up in quite enough time, unfortunately. Next, we are going to have a look at probably my favorite of the scenes. This is the 4 uncommon turtles, and all of the art connects. Let's see if I can set this up in such a way that it comes across on camera. Something like that. Whoop, maybe not. Hang on. Let me see. I can figure this out. I have a degree. I'm pretty smart. There we go. This, of course, is going to be much more visually appealing for the video watchers, and maybe not so much the audio listeners, but there you go. So these are the 4 uncommon turtles in their very cute art in foil. It is Leonardo, Leader in Blue, Donatello, Way with Machines, Michelangelo, Mutant BFF, and Raphael, Most Attitude. You can see they make a scene together of the 4 baby turtles, all enjoying some pizza and maybe giving their dad Splinter a little bit of a hard time. There you go. Very cute. We can show them one by one, but you've already seen these in the main set. We're just going to kind of breeze through them. There's the Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Raphael. Then we have the 6 card scene. This features art reminiscent of the comic book. I don't know. You know what? Here. We're going to do it this way. We're going to do something slightly different. I'm going to scoot some things and adjust here. Now this would be much easier to do if I could see what the camera sees, but we shall do our best either way. So we are going to set this up, and you're going to go for a little ride, chat. Hopefully that comes across. Let's see. There we go. I think that's... I hope. Something like that. Yeah. It's kind of working. a little bit. Maybe my hand will stop shaking. There we go. So this is the 6-card scene of Foot Ninjas, Shredder Unrelenting. Foot Ninjas, of course, a common in the set. Shredder Unrelenting, an uncommon. And you have the 4 rare turtles that we just saw in the showcase art. You have Leonardo Cutting Edge, Donatello Gadget Master, Raphael the Night Watcher, and Michelangelo Weirdness 211. So we'll get a little closer there so you can see the full scene. There we go. So that is the 6-card scene. You also get a little better look at the playmat that's been here for every single podcast. There we go. So we've had a decent amount of time to look at those. Again, at this point, we've looked at what all of these cards do in part 1 of the Sewer Cube. If you want to see them again or hear about them in full effect, highly recommend check out part 1. Very happy with how it turned out for episode 1. Next, we are going to have a look at the 9-card scene. I think I'm putting this in the right order. I'm pretty sure I did lay this out once before and had it in the right order. This is the 9-card and final scene in the set. This is made up of 9 cards in the set. A lot of very cool ones. We have Mikey and Leo, Chaos and Order. Krang and Shredder. Renette, Temporal Apprentice. Jenica, Bad Apple, Big Sister. Bebop and Rocksteady. Dawn and Wrath, Hard Science. April, Reporter of the Weird. Casey Jones, Jury Rig, Justiciar. And Slash, Reptile Rampager. So I guess it's a little high up. Let me see how close I can get there. Sorry, we're on a bit of a delay for stream. And because I can't see the screen, I'm going off of my stream monitor to see if I've got an accurate depiction. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's get nice and close. So you can see, of course, there's 2 of the turtle team-ups, being Mikey and Leo, which is a rare. Krang and Shredder, another team-up at rare. Renette, one of the blue rares. Dawn and Wrath, another of the team-up rares. Bebop and Rocksteady, a team-up rare. Jenica, which also features Sheena prominently, her girlfriend, one of the commons in the set. April, which is the uncommon April in the set. The uncommon Casey. And then Slash, which is one of the red rares. So there you go. That's the full 9-card scene. And that is the last of the cards we are looking at today, everybody. We did it. We got through the Sewer Cube. Like I said, the full deck list is up on the Archidect page. If you want to see any of the tokens and stuff that are part of that, you can check all of those out on the Archidect deck list, which is in the pinned message in the chat, or in the description of this video if you were watching the VOD on Twitch or on YouTube. We will have those posted there for your viewing pleasure if you ever want to go back and revisit the deck list, or maybe check it out on your own time. Maybe you want to see the cards a little more up close and maybe not as cursed as they were because we were having such stream difficulties today. I don't know why the camera would not flip. These things happen. Technical difficulties. That just do be the way that life goes sometimes, you know? That said, friends, let me... I did so much talking today. Still recovering from being sick. It is very hot. I'm very sweaty. But we've completed yet another episode of Such a Brew About Nothing. I want to thank you all so much for watching tonight. I hope you've enjoyed. Again, if you want to support the channel in any way financially, always appreciated, never required. Just the fact that you're here interacting with this content in any way you see fit, whether you are subscribing or donating bits or even following the channel, helps tremendously. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here and you're not already following the channel, maybe consider following. It does help me out a bunch, and it costs you $0. Or if you're watching this on the YouTube, hi YouTube. If you've made it this far into the podcast and you're not already subscribed, do me a favor, double check that subscribe button, because the number of people that watch this content and don't subscribe, the percentage is mind-blowing. It's like 98% of people that watch our content are not subscribed. Maybe consider, maybe do a cheeky subscribe, will? It costs you nothing. It's totally free. You're not going to see us pop up in your feed regularly. We do a couple streams a week. You get maybe like 3 to 4 videos a week, unless there was some issue in the stream broadcast. But even then, it's all part of the same stream that it's, you know, seeing multiple pieces of. In any case, any and all support, whether financial or otherwise, always appreciated. Financial support never required. Just the fact that you're here truly means the fucking world to me. You mean the fucking world to me. That said, friends, let's get a raid set up here. You're going to see some raid messages. Whoop. It helps if I put the command in. Thank you for stream. You're very welcome, Charlie. Thank you for being here. You are going to see both my outfit is dope, by the way. Thank you so much. I do, it's a red dragon shirt, kind of a demon dragon looking thing. I like it a lot. Felt somewhat thematically appropriate, seeing as how there's like there's a dragon in the Turtles card set, and very often you have like Kitsune. The dragon's daughter is in the set. Dragon's kind of a thing that you see in Ninja Turtles. Gotta hop in the shower so you'll miss the raid. No worries, no worries. We are gonna set up this raid right now. But thank you so much for tuning in, Charlie. I do greatly appreciate you. And to everyone who tuned in. Thank you guys so much. You are going to see those raid and sub-raid messages in the chat. Do me a favor, copy your favorite flavor of raid message. Again, I know that it doesn't show the emote, but if you are subbed to the channel and you copy the sub-raid message, it will use the emote. It just doesn't show it because I'm not going to waste a gifted sub on a chatbot when I could gift it to someone in the community. So we are going to, excuse me, my goodness. We are going to raid down into the Guru, JR, Team Evil 1991, as always, friend of the channel, was here hanging out earlier. We are going to raid on in as he's doing a Life is Strange concert with bits from the official soundtrack and Little Velvet. So that's very exciting. Want to remind everybody, we will be back again on Tuesday, finishing up Detroit Become Human, and then Thursday back again with finishing up Near Automata, and then no stream Saturday. But that will be the last Saturday where there's no stream, at least for the time being. So, and then no Such a Brew Sunday. Right, because this is the last Such a Brew About Nothing for the month of March. But we will stay tuned to the schedule to find out when the next one is. So, finishing Detroit Tuesday, finishing Near Thursday, and then the Tuesday after that, the 31st, we will be streaming the brand new Life is Strange reunion. Look forward to that. Friends, I want to thank you so very much for watching tonight. I've had a wonderful time talking about Ninja Turtles Magic the Gathering cards that I have been very much looking forward to for a long, long time. And I hope you have enjoyed this episode of the podcast. Thank you again for all the love and support. Until the next time, I've been trying. You've been amazing. Take care of yourselves and each other. And I'll see you in the next one. Now, let's raid!